What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Moody?
What's up? What's up?
Not much, man. Like I said, off pod, we were just talking about how we're sick and tired of the cold front that we've been getting here in the Mid Atlantic area.
It
But
is. It is not. I can't say brick as fuck, but the wind is brick. There you go. Like, you
yeah,
know what I'm saying? It's like because we ain't dealing with like the teens or no shit. At least we're out of that part. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Because watch, and then next week it'll be like 14 all next week just because I said
right.
that shit.
If it is, it's like the thing is, it'll be like 32 degrees, but then the wind is so strong that it'll just drop it down an extra 10 degrees, and I'm like, this is so annoying. Like
Hmm.
I'm so tired of it. Like I love all the seasons, but I always say like the seasons run like about a month too long. Every season runs about a month too long for me.
Yeah, they just overlap. You like, nah, bro. Let's hurry up and get to the shit. It's like, I mean, but
Yeah,
then again, this is everybody's number one transition they're waiting for, like the whole
yeah,
year for sure. Like when it comes to the passing season, everybody's like, "Yo, I'm done. I'm so done with winter." Like, we already forget that's like warm this shit up. Like that's literally everybody. So
yeah.
you're
Man,
not
everybody's
alone.
trying to be out there at least like in a light jacket, at least a hoodie.
Yeah, like just a little windbreaker, but you know the wind that we had. Nah, ain't no little windbreaker covering that shit.
It,
Like,
it 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 reminds me, like I said, living in New York and just having to deal with this. And like you used brick as fuck. The other B word that I like to use is belligerent. This wind is
yeah,
belligerent. Like,
for real.
it's
No
all up
lie.
in your face. But let's get into these Sunday Percies.
Yeah, yeah, mine are very light because I didn't want to go super deep into the Oscars. I didn't even watch the Oscars, honestly.
Yeah.
I strictly just watched Conan's like
Hmm.
opening ceremony. The best late night show host there's ever been. I don't give a damn. Don't at me or do. It doesn't matter. I'm still gonna say the same thing. But he's funny as hell. I like the little like Adam Sandler, skit when he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
everybody's dressed to impress. So that's the number one thing where it was like, yo, what the fuck is he wearing? And it's like,
Actually,
what
it's
is,
not surprising in Adam Sandler because I'm like, yeah, that dude literally just came from across the street balling at the
yeah.
court in a pickup game. I'm like, of course Adam Sandler was doing that.
Yeah, and he was like, "Who is it?" He was like, "The guy from Moonlight or somebody, like whoever was nominated." He was like, "That guy, he's on my team."
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
then he
so
ended up with the Chalamet, whatever
yeah,
he does.
but yeah, I just
No,
enjoy
yeah.
his presence. I mean, I don't know how many people listen to his pod, but I definitely do. I'm a faithful. That's one of my
Oh
other
yeah.
faithful pod
People
listens.
Conan is very
I,
super popular.
I am I'm a faithful Coleman fan ever since I don't know 11. Once I noticed
Yeah.
that he was actually the best out of everybody, I'm like, oh yeah, I fuck with this. It's not even close. So I
Yeah.
fuck with Conan, but I'll go back and see who. I mean, I heard certain stuff like this one that, but
Yeah. I
I
mean,
wasn't really
I think
paying
I've told you
attention.
about this movie before when it first came out. It's called Honora.
Hmm.
It was nominated for like 5 awards, like all like the top line awards, like best actor, best director, and best editing, and it swept all of its awards.
Yeah.
Surprising. Like I was telling my mom last year, the 2024 movie here, I'm like, it was all right. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't terrible. Like there was a lot of good movies. I think out of the best picture contenders, especially if you just like consider like the top five, I'm like any one of these could potentially win. But I'm like, I'm not mad if any of like I probably would have picked another movie, but I'm like, I'm not mad at Nora one. And Nora is a great film. I'm
Hmm.
just like, if you put this group of contenders for Best Picture compared to like the last couple of years, none of these movies are better than the
Yeah.
past movies. But Honora
Hmm.
is a really good film. I think you would definitely like it because it fits up your alley because it's kind of like it's like a rom com dramedy.
Yeah. I heard the synopsis was like a sex worker marries a rich Russian guy, and she
Yeah.
has to like win over the family. So that's all I
Yeah,
know. But I'm like,
effectively.
okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much the movie. But it's some great acting and yeah, definitely worth checking out. Um and then on the Conan aspect, like I said, it's funny because I think Conan is at the Oscars. I think a lot of people really liked what he did that night. They thought he was one of the better parts of the show. It's funny because I don't like whether it's the Oscars or me watching sports. I really don't care for like the actual like commentary and like things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's funny how people put like when they're watching football games and they're like, "Oh, Tom Brady is so bad." I'm like, Bro, I'm listening to a podcast or something else during the games that I don't even really care or pay attention to. Then the few seconds that I do hear Tom Brady, I'm like, oh yeah, this dude's terrible. But no, Conan, yeah, he was good. He did a good job. He had the little funny kind of musical bit where he was like, "I won't waste any time when you're clearly wasting time."
Yeah, clearly. Yeah,
I thought that was great.
That was good too.
So, yeah, no complaints here. And the Oscars are the Oscars. You know what I mean? I watched it because I watched a shit ton of movies, so I'm like, oh, what win, what didn't win, and things of that nature. But I'm glad that you were at least able to find your interest in it.
Yeah,
in Conan.
Man. There's always because I did look at the best picture category, and I remember my immediate thought was like, oh, I haven't heard of any of these, which reminded me of like when I was a kid, and it's like always the Oscars were coming out, and I'm like, there's always those Oscar bait movies, like the deep, the
Brutalist was
indie
that
kind of film. Yeah, exactly, stuff like that, and it's like unless you're like searching for it or you're just going to the movies every week like yourself, then you're not gonna watch it. So I was just like, oh, okay, but yeah, Nora's the one that won out. You informed me of that, so that's cool. What you got, bro?
I my mornings I like to wake up and scroll through social media like any other person in our age group, and then I was on Reddit, and then I was scrolling and I came across somebody had posted this where they said there was a live action Powerpuff Girls show that was scrapped, and then they eventually just leaked the trailer. So initially, when I first put this video up, it was the actual video from the people that had posted it on YouTube. This is not from Warner Brothers. This is from somebody else. That got immediately taken down. I don't know. Have you seen the video since I've posted it up?
No.
You should at least open it and try to check it out. But it stars, what's his face? Donald Faison.
Oh, yep. I see him already. Oh, this is cute.
Yeah. He's the professor, and this is a live action Powerpuff Girls. They aged up the girls to be, early 20s of some sort. And I'll say when you watch it, when you take the time to watch it, it looks really bad. It looks like
it's really bad.
It looks like Funny or Die. It looks like a Funny or Die sketch. Like, you ever seen like when John Cheadle played Captain Planet?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It feels very much like that. But at the same time, I'm like, I can see why they canceled it, but I'm like, I'd watch this for how bad it is. Like, I'm not as hard as other people on it, but I can see why this was canceled.
Yeah.
It looks very cheaply made. I almost almost feels like this is not even the final version of like post production. Like, this was just like a rough sketch of like what the trailer would look like, because it doesn't even look like it's finished.
Yeah, it doesn't even. Yeah, the trailer itself doesn't look good, but it gets the idea across enough. Yeah, where I'm like, oh, okay,
I wasn't mad of them aging them up. There's a lot of modern dialogue. Like, I think what's her name? Buttercup. That's the green one, right?
Yeah. Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. That's their names.
Yeah, Buttercup was like they talk about how they whitewashed our characters, because Buttercup in the live action, she's a black woman. And so they were talking about the cartoon, because everybody in the world knows the Powerpuff Girls off the cartoon, and they're like, oh yeah, they whitewashed us and this, that, and like, I don't like being part of gender normative norms or some shit like that. Whatever. It's there are certain things that people that are slow to pick up on, not slow, but I guess for lack of better terms, regressive, or like, oh look, they're indoctrinating our people and things of that nature, or whatever and shit. But not the best. But I was surprised to see this. When I saw it first, I didn't think it was real, and then it was like, nah, this shit was real. I was like, oh wow. So take the time to actually like check it out in full when you get the chance.
Yeah. I'm like, 2.5 minutes through the trailer as you were talking. It's pretty, like I said, interesting looking for sure. I mean, immediately what comes to my head is like, well, what does live action Mojo Jojo look like? You know what I'm saying? With an exposed brain in a can, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a monkey. So like him, or even the character him. You remember him?
I don't. I always watch, like, back in the day, you never kept up with continuity, because you just, as a kid, you just like, oh, Powerpuff Girls is on or whatever is on, and I'm just jumping in.
Yeah, Google him real quick. Like, you want to talk about people being regressive? Like, as a Powerpuff Girls character, he was the guy who was clearly putting on or I think regressive people would be like, oh, this is definitely indoctrinating our kids. I don't know why they didn't say anything before, but he's like half human, half crab, but very, very feminine looking, even his voice. And he's so diabolical. There's no name for him. They just call him. Like that's his name. So
yeah, I'm looking at the picture right now.
Yeah, make that live action. Now what are people gonna say? Yeah, people will be like, not in front of my kids. Y'all trying to make our kids gay. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. We dodged the bullet with him right there. Yeah.
Yeah, wild. It definitely looks like I said, a Funny or Die sketch or like a very cheap CW show. I think it was supposed to be on CW, so it fit within their visual aesthetic.
All right, my last Sunday Percy is once again, like you said, just scrolling social media. Something I found interesting. This came across my YouTube shorts. They changed the alphabet song. You wanna play this in the background for us?
Yeah. Let's see.
And it's
the alphabet song has changed. It's
there we go. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you already played it. Go ahead.
Because the LMNO, they switched that.
But now the internet is divided after a new version of the classic song was revealed. Something some kids have always struggled with. The new version's ending is different too.
I heard it. It sounds ridiculous.
It's
Somebody sing it.
Firestorm.
The LMNOP is a problem. This is what I'm saying.
LMNOP is a problem.
That is a problem.
What's the fucking song?
We all agree.
They took away LMNOP, and it feels illegal.
We went to Good Shepherd.
Hey, are they going to sing the fucking song? What kind
That's
of
what I'm saying.
news article is this?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now I never will forget how to say the alphabet.
Shut the hell up.
All right, stop.
Shut the hell up.
Exact reaction. I'm so glad I got to see that because you just did the same. That meme of the man like, wait, what? That was the same reaction I had. I'm like, they took away LMNOP, and I'm like, LMNOP, making kids know that is a crime. We should not be doing that. That's true. Like already, I think we all understand that. That's the hardest part of the song. But hearing that, I was just like, man, get this shit out of here. No, I ain't with this shit.
So I'll say this. I understand why we use songs for situations like the alphabet because it's easy for memorization, right? But at some point, especially in regards to the alphabet, that's the only way we know how to say the alphabet.
Yeah.
You ever try to say the alphabet without doing the song?
Sure. I mean, I think everybody
you kind of have to force yourself. You kind of have to force yourself to not do the song because it's so ingrained in our head. And so my suggestion is instead of remixing the goddamn song, just teach them the fucking alphabet without the goddamn song.
Hey, that's still happening too. That's just like you said. That's just the first wave to get it in the head. That's all it is. But even still, just hearing
you ask somebody, you ask a 50-year-old person to be like, give me the alphabet right now. I guarantee you they will do the song.
Probably.
And it's like, bruh, that is sad. That's sad. I don't want no tune. I don't need no lullaby. Just tell me the alphabet. Tell me the goddamn 26 letters of the alphabet.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Right, yeah. That little break that was aggressive. I felt conservative right there. I felt like a Texan.
And then paused, and then OP. I was like, I don't even know. Yeah.
OPQ, RST.
Sounded like she skipped letters almost. The way she said it almost sounded like she skipped letters. And I'm like, nah, you missed some stuff there.
Like, that was wild though, but I had the exact same reaction. Like your face, you was like, hold on, what? Like, nah, yo. But that was my Percy. Let's get into it, bro.
Let's get into it.
Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit.
Cutting through the crowd. It's a Habesha Hayes. Samson. Here are my tag team partner.
The French fried fro Moody coming off the top rope. This is the Wrestling Re-Up Podcast.
A weekly stroll through the avenue of wrestling.
Do all the engagement things. Follow us on our socials, the Instagram, TikTok, and this YouTube channel. Everything at The Wrestling Rehab. Give us a like, comment, and subscribe.
Hey, welcome everyone to episode 35 of the Wrestling Rehab podcast.
And I don't know how I was struggling earlier off mic with, who's going to be a number 35? KD Trey 5. KD's 35. Duh.
I feel so offended by myself. I forgot.
I'm like, because I'm just sitting here thinking basketball, and I'm like, man, they usually go up to like 34. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kareem, but yeah, that's the one. Obviously,
KD 5, KD 35, rough for sure, man. DMV legend, St. Pleasance. Went to Montrose Christian. What's up, everyone? Episode 35 of the Wrestling Rehab podcast. And we got a big week of wrestling. We're obviously going to be recapping the events that happened last weekend at Elimination Chamber, and then everything that happened this week. It was a week of title changes for WWE. And then to end the week, we have another pop-up show in AEW Revolution. I guess we can kind of get the show started off and just get into the big topic that kind of carried us throughout this entire week, which was the Elimination Chamber. And the major moment.
Yeah, that was a major moment.
Yeah, I mean, not even with the actual events of the show. The actual outcome of the show ended up Samson finally ended up getting his goddamn second win. Let's go.
Finally,
Let's go.
Congratulations. What's
don't
the
even give
season
me a
record
hint.
now?
I don't even care if you gave it to me knowing. Like, you probably wanted to pick John Cena, but you're like, I need to give this man. I don't care. A win's a win's a win. And I got my win. And I'm looking for to build a streak today. Yeah. I'm looking to get number 2.
You have to beat my all-time streak of 9 in a row. So that's what you got to do right now. Hey, it's the all-time. You got a little bit. You got 10 more till you pass me up.
Hey,
but either way,
if we come at the end of the season where we're at like week 52, and this record is basically like we're neck and neck. That's impressive. That'd be an impressive feat on my end if I make that comeback.
That would be literally me pulling a Jaguars, just falling apart at like week 10, week 11. We're like the 2 seed or some shit. Like,
or the Eagles 2 years ago. Hey, the Eagles started off 10-0 and then lost like 5-6 games and then got knocked out in the playoffs the first round. But yeah, Elimination Chamber, the biggest. It was a great show overall. I thought all the matches were great. I thought this was one of the WWE's better pop-up shows that they've had. Not in a while, but this is one that you'd be like, okay, now from top to bottom, this card was really good. There wasn't anything. The weakest part of the card was the obvious one that was probably going to be the breather, which was Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus versus who did they face? Nia Jackson, Candice LeRae. And that was a good match as well. It's just that was the one that was just a regular tag team match without any stipulation. So it's like relative to the rest of the card, something has to be at the bottom. But overall, even that was a great match. So, but the biggest outcome of the Elimination Chamber is John Cena finally turning heel.
Yeah.
And aligning with The Rock. And awesome. Travis Scott ended up getting some licks. And we are officially... Well, we've already been on the official road to the WrestleMania, but now it really feels like we've really kicked into full gear.
Travis Scott was smoking on the Cody pack out there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So far, he's made it he's trying to be the Snoop of WWE somehow, even though Snoop is a WWE Hall of Famer already. But I was looking at some of the socials, on this, and the main thing was like, why is Travis Scott out there? Just because it's like, and it's just his superstardom, his gravitas, obviously bringing young people like looking in and stuff like that. But even the shades he was wearing, which are definitely his style, you look back and it's I'm not sure, it's not the NWO term, but it's when Dennis Rodman was in the ring. Mm-hmm. And he had that exact same look on here. He's dressed like Rodman in that exact same moment where I was just like, oh, okay, that's what he's doing. Because he's definitely not a physical threat, where at least Dennis Rodman, we could be like, hey, this guy's 6'9", 250, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, he can still fuck you up. Travis Scott is 145 pounds. You know what I mean?
I heard Travis Scott has been practicing his wrestling.
Hey,
You think we
let's
get
go.
Travis Scott versus Bad Bunny?
If it's in Houston, yeah, we could do that. Do an Astro World SummerSlam or something, or I don't know. But yeah, that would be cool though. That would be fucking fire. But get back on subject. John Cena, that visual of him holding the title up, by his shoulder.
Mhm.
That's one of those things that's gonna be burned in my memory forever as far as like wrestling fandom, for sure. The moment, like, we don't even have the scale on here, but that's a presidential, obviously, already. This is gonna be
It's
OMG
very
moment
close
of
to
the year.
presidential. Yeah, I mean, if I leave it to the moment's presidential.
The moment,
If I
the moment,
have
the
to take
turn.
everything in account, I would probably put it top shelf just to see
It's-
where does this lead to? How impactful
Sure,
this is.
Sure. But for the first time in 20 years, seeing John Cena
Yeah.
scowl into the camera and kick Cody in the nuts, that is a presidential holy shit moment. Like, because even I had John Cena turning heel also, but or Cody, the heel turn was supposed to happen at Mania. So for me, this is like already jumping. That catches me by surprise. You heard me on the phone. I was like, oh, shit.
I said the same thing. I was like, I gave you my predictions last week. I was like, I think John Cena's going to win, but I thought we were going to be in this holding pattern to see. Like, I knew Cody wasn't going to sell his soul, but again, I thought the John Cena turn was going to happen during the match at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was going to happen at Elimination Chamber. Now we got a whole month and a half of seeing where this storyline takes us. So it's completely, like, again, even though Shoes said it correctly on the Masked Man show or whatever, or Wednesday Worldwide, whichever one, but he was like, even in the case that like me and Shoes both predicted that John Cena would be able to would be turning, even if you predict it, to see it and it actually happens, because we've been predicting John Cena to turn heel for 20 years. And we've always been wrong.
Been waiting on it. Yeah. Been waiting on
we've,
it.
We've always been wrong. And then to say like, oh yeah, he's going to turn here, and then he actually does it, is just like, oh wow. Oh wow. Like, I agree with everyone that says that as a moment, this is a moment that is just as big as Hulk Hogan joining the NWO in '96. As far as like just the one night moment of it, it's right up there with that. Now, the hard part, which I don't think WWE is trying to compete with, is like, I don't know if this is going to change the game the way that the NWO did, because that didn't only change the game from a kayfabe perspective, that changed the game from a shoot perspective. Like, the way wrestling was told on television changed from that point on, the way the NWO acted. And I don't know if that's gonna happen with John Cena, but
no. I mean, we like. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I am curious to see what happens, what comes out of this as far as the landscape of WWE, and like, what does it mean? Especially that if John Cena can turn heel, what does it mean for every other young person coming up? What does it mean for someone like Bianca? We look at her as the John Cena counterpart, and it's like, does Bianca need to be heel for 20 years and then finally turn? Like, nah, everybody can be heel at some point. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what comes out of this in the long term. Not only for WrestleMania, but I'm thinking for the rest of John Cena's remaining time here at WWE. And what is that? How does that kind of trickle down to everybody else within the company?
Yeah. It will definitely be on the uppies, if not nominated, if not just being straight, because we do have that category, just straight up OMG moment of the year. And that's immediately where I'm like, okay, yeah, that's nominated, if not straight up just winning right now. But as far as like to respond to your discussion about like the fallout of this, I really think it's still, I mean, we know that in shoot wise, like Cena's wrapping this up. You know what I mean? Like, he's about to retire from like in-ring just altogether. So it really makes me excited more so about the Cody story of it. Cause yeah, he finished like his story. What I would think is, I mean, we're still getting a Cody heel turn. You know what I mean? Eventually. I mean, same thing like you were just saying. He doesn't need to be, super babyface Cody for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Then get the heel turn. But in order to give him this mountain to climb up of The Rock and John Cena together, I think the fallout of that is just going to emphasize his heel turn in the future just that much more. You know what I'm saying? Because he's got to come out on top. I'm not saying immediately at Mania, but I'm saying the character that Cody is right now is going to keep fighting forever. You know what I'm saying? In a babyface way right now. So when that turn comes, it will be that much more stinging because Cody is Cena now. And it's crazy, but yeah. Because Cena is so newly a heel, it's weird to even be thinking about this, like making this comparison. But yeah, he's the one right now who you've seen even like little kids wearing his little skull mask, which I think is ugly as hell when he came out to Mania in. You've seen that. You know what I'm saying? He's that guy. Unless you're, because the only other person like that is like, you have to be a cruiserweight, you know, a high flyer, you know what I'm saying? Or like a Rey Mysterio to be eternal babyface. I don't think we're going to see a John Cena kind of character again. I would hope not, you know, just eternal babyface, but I mean, I don't
think anybody should be that far to the right or the left as far as, you know, heel and babyface. Like, even Bianca, like, we'll get to it when we get to SmackDown, but Bianca, okay, I get why you'd want to keep her as a heel, but man, I mean, as a face, but man, like, it doesn't need to be so far to the end of the spectrum that is like, man, like you're just invulnerable. Sometimes you need to show some type of, you know, not personality, but you know what I'm saying? Like just another side of yourself that
exactly.
Hey, you know, what do we do in D&D when we have like the lawful, good
your alignment? Yeah,
your alignment. Like not everybody needs to be lawful good. You know, you could be good neutral or whatever the middle one is or something like that. And I think that's where, to your point, I hope that your thoughts is right, that this is going to be an end of an era where we have these supremely strong baby faces and heels. Because sometimes those feel just like characters and not actual real people.
For sure. And not for nothing, I was listening to No Contest Wrestling earlier, and I think it was TJ that was saying, you know, he can think of somebody that is not active right now that, you know, could get a call, you know, to help Cody out in this long-term story. And immediately I was just like, oh, who would that be? Who's like, because he was like, it's a big enough superstar, which the obvious answer came to me was like, maybe like Stone Cold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe Stone Cold.
Because that's the one that I was expecting at Mania, right? And instead it was Undertaker, which I like that even more because I'm like, you know, Taker. I was like, that was like the spirit of WrestleMania showing up. Like that was literally, you know, being like, nah, Cody should be champ. But the other name that came to my head is Brock. Brock showing up and helping Cody, like Cody's earned his respect and all that shit. And I'm like, we ain't seen him in a while for obvious reasons we ain't got to go into. But I'm like, hey, maybe it's
another level of selling your soul, right? Isn't that still selling your soul? Oh, camera went down.
Yeah, temporarily. My bad. I mean, business is business. Would it be any worse than doing business with Saudi Arabia? It's not worse than that. So,
yeah, I mean, even still, like if you take that's the shoot perspective of it. I'm even just talking about just like Brock Lesnar and his kayfabe aspect of what does Brock Lesnar on WWE television mean? And Brock Lesnar in relationship to the WWE title. And then aligning with Cody. It's like, bro, what are we doing here? First, you align with Roman. Then you align with Brock. Like, you are a heel. You are a heel.
And then that would be, hey, like I said, because you could manifest, or I can see it right now, where right now Cena and Rock are going to be heels for the rest of the year. Maybe they take the title or whatever at Mania. Brock comes to help him. He's not going to see it that way. The same way he didn't see like helping Roman as like a negative thing, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be another chip to stack on KO's shoulder or whoever else, or just us as the crowd. And eventually you just get that turn where he's just like, you know what? I know what the fuck I'm doing. I've been carrying this company this whole goddamn time, yada, yada, yada. And I got Brock.
I'd like to see desperate Cody. To me, that would be a desperate Cody if he aligned with Brock. But I mean, like, I'd like to see a desperate Cody that's willing to do whatever.
I would agree with that.
His title.
I would just think it depends. It obviously depends on how Brock shows up, because I think Brock, like you said, what does it mean when he's actually there? It means that there's a alpha male around. You know what I'm saying? Like the peak of the species, like Pat McAfee or whoever be saying.
And Cody can't trust Brock even if they're aligned because again, they're coming. Brock is coming for that title.
I mean, the thing is, like, I think this could work if when he shows up, obviously, and Cody said he's still face. He just needs help, and he makes that call, and we get Cowboy Brock. You know, face Brock. Face Brock works. I like Cowboy Brock.
That's barely a face. He just was like, "Oh, Brock with personality." That's what it was.
He was just turning up his regular farmer shit that he's doing up in Wisconsin, wherever he lives, or Minnesota. Yeah, but yeah, I could see face Cody teaming with face Brock in that way, and he's not even thinking, like you said, because we know Brock on TV is like, oh shit, this is going to go deeper. You know what I'm saying? And maybe he does just straight up eventually sell his soul to The Rock in order to beat Brock, because he's beat Brock. They had that whole trilogy to get him over. So, but John Cena's a heel. That's crazy. So there's a whole
and
lot.
We still haven't heard from him. We spent a whole week and we still haven't heard from him.
We shouldn't.
We shouldn't. I don't know when the next time he'll be on TV. You know, they already have his schedule pretty much out of like when he's going to be on TV or not. So I think he might be on TV next week. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if his his already scheduled appearances, but the road to WrestleMania just really picked up. And let's continue down this card. I guess let's go in reverse. KO beat Sammy in the unsanctioned match. Gnarly match. There was a steel chair wrapped in barbed wire, and me and you, as we were watching the show, was like, "What aisle in Home Depot do you find that at?"
Yeah, right.
Great match. Nothing less that you'd expect between these two good friends. And
then
Randy Orton comes back.
Yep, called that. Went very similarly to, like I said, the ladder war in ROH. Like seeing that seems to be KO's killer move on Sammy is just his pop-up power bombs on the apron. That's the move that always puts Sammy down. Like hitting that like a good 2 times, and that's how he finished it. But yeah, Sammy, my little bonus prediction, that did come true. He was lining up for that punt. I was like, oh, that would be it right there. But good camera work by WWE. Good work on security for the first time. In kayfabe, I'm pissed off because they should have just let him do it. But the timing of it all, like he got really close, and they were like literally just gang tackling.
They all jumped in at the right time. I'm like,
perfect timing. Yeah, and I was just like, get out of here, kick him in the head.
I was correct in the sense that I told you, I was like, yo, this nigga Sammy is going to be out. He's going to be out. He's not leaving this match walking. And that's what happened. Like he's going to be out for at least a bit of time. He'll be back probably by WrestleMania, but Kevin did exactly what he needed to do. This took him too many times where he's taken L's, whether it be at the Royal Rumble or the previous pay-per-views after that. And it's just like, bruh, Kevin's not right. Kevin's not wrong in his frustrations and his complaints. His actions that he goes about it are overboard. I'll say that. They're overboard. Definitely. But as far as like why he's pissed, he is 100% in the right in that. So it only made sense for him to get this win. And then the way that he got it. Now I worry about what's going to happen at WrestleMania when he faces Randy Orton, because Randy Orton is basically like Super Cena. Yeah. You know, so. But again, how is Sammy playing into this? I don't know. It's going to be that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, though. If you leave it to Kevin versus Randy, there's no way Randy's losing that match.
No, he's punching him in the head. That's what's going to happen.
But
for sure.
Fun nonetheless.
I just looked at it because I'm like, I mean, we still got enough time for Sammy and Kevin to hold the title again. They're both 40. I just looked it up. So I was like, if we run this back, the only time I want to see it back again is if it's at Mania for the title. Or, because we've seen them win together, and we've seen them right before Mania basically kill each other to the maximum extent now. And I'm like, that's the only other place to go up from here, you know? So 2 years from now, maybe WrestleMania 35 or 45, whatever number we're on at that point. Yeah, Sammy and KO finally for that. Sammy will beat KO. There we go. We got to have the face win, you know?
I do believe I said at the beginning of the year that I think Kevin Owens will win at least the World Heavyweight Championship this year. I think Kevin will get his a World Heavyweight Championship win, probably over Jey Uso.
That works. I mean, that ties in his bloodline hate, you know, helping everybody out and all that type of stuff. But interesting. We don't want to buck too far ahead. We're not even off of this Elimination Chamber card yet.
Tiffany and Trish versus Beat Nia and Candice LeRae. Like I said, this was the breather as far as relative to everything else on the card, because this was in between the Women's Elimination Chamber match and the unsanctioned match. But again, it's relative to the rest of the card. This was, for a lack of better terms, the weakest part of the show, but that's just because of the rest of the card. If you put this on any other show, this was a great match, and it's still a great match. I have no problems with this match.
It's just the least cared about story right now, but there is a story there, obviously, with the rivalry between
Nia and Tiffany. I have the thoughts on the Tiffany Stratton story arc, but we'll touch on that when we get to SmackDown. Just make sure to remind me. And then the way we started off this show was the Women's Elimination Chamber match, in which Bianca Belair won. But kind of, I give myself 90% correctness on this, because I said in our predictions last week that I don't think either one of Bianca or Naomi will be participating in this match. And I thought Jade was going to replace them. I thought Jade was going to attack somebody from behind in the backstage, and, you know, that would allow her to be in it. Not quite how it happened. The match got kicked off. The bell rung. It was supposed to start between Naomi and Liv Morgan. Then all of a sudden, Jade's music hits. She comes out. Liv is shocked. Naomi looks back at Bianca, who's in the pod. And as soon as Jade comes in, Liv is like, I didn't do it. And then apparently Jade was like, I know you didn't do it. And then she attacks and brutally beats up Naomi.
And I want to point out that, we listened to, like you said, Masked Man and everything, but she was also picked up on the same thing that I said to you, where it was just like, did they open up that cage for her? Like, because I'm pretty sure, like, bruh, you know Jade, she don't run. Like, she makes walking entrances. And it's like, bruh, I told you on the phone immediately at that point in time, I was like, I didn't even hear that bell ring. So that's why I thought she was going to replace Naomi. But it's like, oh, no, she can't continue? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
sure.
No, you were right. You called that out, and I was like, I need to have the rewatch on that. And sure enough, he just opened up the gate. He just opened up the door.
That's right. I'm like, nah.
And so the best kayfabe logic that I could probably rock with is that, like, you see a woman like Jade Cargill walking
intimidation crit.
yeah, man. And you know the refs are. You know, obviously some of the refs actually, like, you know, they work out their wrestlers in their, you know, in their off time. But, like, you know, refs are there. You said it during the show. They have 1 HP.
Yeah, literally. You tap them.
They have 1 HP. So if I'm a referee in charge of opening and closing this door, and I see Jade Cargill all to whatever, how many pounds she is of straight muscle,
right?
Just abs just popping. You go ahead. I'm not wasting this 1 XP right now. 1 HP right now.
Yeah.
But Jade ended up whooping Naomi's ass. She ended up closing the door on Naomi's collarbone, throat, neck area.
Yeah. That was brutal. It was definitely.
Your wife didn't think that was brutal.
Oh yeah. Not at all.
But Bianca Belair, this was a great match. There was amazing sequences from all of the women, sans Naomi, because obviously she didn't really have an opportunity to participate. But everyone, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Liv, Roxanne, everyone did a great job. And then Bianca ended up winning.
Yep. Super Cena. We knew that, though. Even through emotional strife.
You doubted her because you're like, she's just too, like, she saw her friend get beat. She's too emotionally distressed. Like, there's no way she's going to win this.
I'll say this right now, just because obviously we'll bring it up at SmackDown, but, like, Bianca, I was working on a champion of the week for her, because I was like, man, she was going to get, like, Young and the Restless soap opera like this. She used this whole week using all her tear ducts. Like, you know what I'm saying? Them shits is dry as hell. She was crying up a storm watching Jade beat the shit out of Naomi. I was just like, dang. But yeah, that was Elimination Chamber. That was fun.
That was fun. That was fun indeed. Let's get into
Raw.
the Monday night
Prediction.
after
Yeah.
on Raw. Let's go to the flagship show. And this was a pretty good flagship show, I will say. We'll start with the biggest surprise. I'll say, and this kind of ties in back to Elimination Chamber. So after Bianca wins, she walks up the ramp. She's at the top, and then she's met with Rhea Ripley, and then Io Sky's out there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to take a second. I'm like, why is Io out there? And I was like, oh yeah, she got a title match on Monday. I forgot about that. But it's funny because when you watch that scene in Elimination Chamber when like Rhea, Io, and Bianca at the top of the front of the entrance, Rhea and Bianca are looking dead at each other, and they're not even looking at Io. Bianca's not even giving any attention to Io. And then the next night on Monday Night Raw, what happens? Io Sky beats Rhea Ripley for the goddamn Women's Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Now that throws a huge wrench into WrestleMania. Do we getting a triple threat match between Io, Bianca, and Rhea?
I mean, I think, Rhea has enough star power to like, because there's no such thing as a rematch clause. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she has enough clout as far as just being the Eradicator that I think she could convince, just go on the warpath for the next month and all the way up until, the go home show to be like, oh yeah, we're adding Rhea to this match, But I could see that. Who wins that match? I think who's taking the pin in that match? That's the thing that I just don't want to think about. You know what I mean? Because you would have Bianca win?
No.
Because I would.
If you talking about the triple threat?
In a triple threat, yeah. I would put,
I
think Io,
Go ahead.
that would put Io over more than anything. And I did have a thought because I put it in here as I said before. Io is where Asuka was 3 years ago, where I'm just like, bruh, it was a crime that she wasn't able to rip off Bianca's arm. But if we make Io Sky one of the best wrestlers, a transitional champion for 6 weeks, I'm gonna be sick. Bro. That's why I'm like,
the more time that I've had to think about this, I like this move. Because we all want to see Rhea Ripley versus Bianca, but what is the one problem that we've had? Not problem, but what is the one thing that we haven't really had between Bianca and Rhea?
Conflict.
Actually true conflict. They walk by each other. They know each other. They know that eventually their paths are going to cross, but they technically have never crossed. And so to your same argument, would you want Io to hold the title as a transitional champion for 6 weeks? Or would you rather have Bianca and Rhea storyline crammed into 6 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if you give me a triple threat at Mania between these three women, Io's going over, Rhea's taking a pin.
Yeah. Because
and then that gives you a whole year to build a rivalry between Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair.
Or if it's
that's how you get to WrestleMania 42 or whatever number we're on next year at New Orleans. Then you get an actual filled story of Rhea Ripley versus Bianca. So that's why as I sat with this, that's why I like Io winning this title. And I think Io's going to win at WrestleMania.
Okay, great. Well, I'm all about that because, like I said, hey, we got to stand up for these Japanese wrestlers, bro. Hey, we have been using them. I have been saying this. We have been using them to put Americans over for a long time. But either way, that leads me into my shake also, as we're semi-booking this right now because we can't help ourselves, obviously. I got Rhea's crash out, after losing the title when Kathy comes to talk to her, or Jackie, excuse me. And she's just lost, and I'm like, dang, how long has Rhea been heel? You know what I'm saying? Because we cheer Rhea, but even still, she started off as heel and really became tweener with that whole storyline of like, I would say Liv and Dom. Obviously, she worked face in that, but she's a badass. You know what I'm saying? She can just do whatever she has. Like, if Rhea has to use a steel chair, we're not going to falter for it because she'll be justified and we'll be cheering her. But in order to like, change up the character, I'm like, we've been going over for Rhea. When looking at the two of them, obviously visually, Rhea's more of the heel looking one of the two. So with her having this crash out and also being distracted by Bianca, she lost this match because she was distracted by Bianca. And Bianca didn't do anything. She was just watching ringside. But if she just takes that little drop of like blame, even if it's not a triple threat, right now our match is Io versus Bianca. So we could just straight up have a WrestleMania dirty finish where Rhea comes in there and hits Riptide on Bianca when the ref is down or something.
I'm not mad at that either.
Just because fuck Bianca and you shouldn't be here, it should be me. So either
and I'm not mad at that because one thing that I saw Bianca wrote on her Instagram as it relates to like, you know, winning the Elimination Chamber. I don't know if it was before or after. She had mentioned that she is undefeated at WrestleMania.
That'll put a blemish on her. That'll put a blemish on her right there.
They ain't gonna let no black women challenge the Undertaker's record.
Get that out of here. With that long nappy ass braid? Nah, I ain't having it.
Hey, son, that shit down.
Nah.
So yeah, Bianca should probably take if it's just straight up. I have no problem the way you booked it. I think either way, Io is coming out of WrestleMania
coming over
as champion.
Yeah, and she needs to. But you got any more to say about that? I think we're good.
No,
on that, right?
I mean, again, it was shocking. It was shocking.
It was shocking. Yes, for sure, because not in my bingo card. But as we book it out real quick, I'm sure. Yeah. We're as good as Tony Khan. We're not as good as Triple H, but we can put a show together with just this. So
like I said, the more I sat around there, I was like, I'd rather have a year's worth of Bianca and Rhea feuding than rushing a storyline with 6 months.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Within 6 weeks. So that's why I'm like, hey, surprising. The more I sit on it, the more I like it.
Yeah.
Especially if it gets us to Rhea versus Bianca 1-on-1 at WrestleMania next year in New Orleans. So let's start off with our primo. Or not start off. Let's get back to the primos because we have another primo we agree upon. Punk Rollins brawl. And I already said this at the beginning of the year. Anytime these two niggas are in a segment together, it's gonna be hard not to put this as primo. They're both really great on the mic. As we were talking about during the Sammy KO unsanctioned match, I was like, I always like these matches. They are two great wrestlers. They go all out, but I'm like, they're also really good friends. And this is just like friends just kind of like having a good time and just fucking around at the end of the day. If you were to, be meta about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if these niggas like each other. I genuinely don't know. I don't know how much of this is like, okay, we're not best of friends, but we're fucking good. Like,
I mean, you got to be work. They're clearly work cordial, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't got to be best friends with everybody at work. Like, and it just so happens that for them, they get paid to beat ass, in kayfabe. So it's like, hey, that'll just contribute to more of a laying in those good blows, cash and receipts,
I guess that's the thing for me. The unknown factor of their relationship, I'm like, I don't know how much of this is real and how much of this is just niggas just being great at fucking selling, hatred as a storyline. So, but no, I mean, they brawled all the way through the TV and then they went to commercial break and then, I have Netflix without ads, so I get the dark scenes,
the continued ass whooping through the commercial.
They were fine. They were fine throughout the commercial break too. I was like, oh, okay, let's go. Yeah. So again, anytime these two, I was ready in January. I was ready in October. I'm ready anytime these two niggas want to get into a ring. I'm ready. So primo. And
also, I mean, there's really not too many other ways you could start off better than like CM Punk in the ring with a mic in his hand,
Oh yeah,
So,
especially taking shots at The
start-
Rock and John Cena.
Yeah. So just to bring that into it, also, like that was pretty awesome. And talking John Cena, fake ass boy wearing shit of like hustle, loyalty, and respect,
Yeah.
and all that shit. So good stuff. My mid, I loved the Chad Gable cinematic.
That was good.
Him out in like once again I keep doing cinematics. Those shit are so good because you can tell us so much story with that. Thank you, Lucha Underground, for cinematics. But we got this is like you see Chad in the streets of like Mexico City somewhere. We assume somewhere south of the border, walking the streets, and clearly he's just like they just got the camera so tight that I'm like, they're making sure they don't show you no other like landmark when they're clearly.
Oh yeah, I was like, y'all niggas filmed this in El Paso.
Exactly, like you know what I mean, like. But that was really good how they kept it like very tight. Like, hey, you seen this man? And Chad's walking around with this clipping of somebody we don't know. I assume a luchador, and eventually he gets in contact with this man and he gives him a box, and we don't know what's in it, but I'm hoping it's a lucha mask, and that's why I got him written as El Gringo Swolo. Like when he comes back, like I was like, oh, is that what we're doing? We're doing Lucha Chad Gable? That'd be fire. So
it's
that'd
funny
be something completely just for a character to literally in kayfabe change wrestling styles is very interesting of a storyline when we know that he's an Olympian and all this stuff, and he's like catch can type of wrestling, amateur wrestling. Like high flying lucha libre, if he start pulling out like tilt-a-world like Hurricane Ranas and shit like this, I'll be like, yo,
he can do it. He could do
really can. That's why I'm like, it's gonna be fire. Like I just hope it'll be cool as shit. But
my thing is, I gotta go back and look at this, but I could have sworn when Dominic gave him the card, he's like, this person hates luchadors just as much as you do.
Okay.
I gotta go back, but I could have sworn Dominic said that to him.
So what's the
I'm like,
to
everybody's saying like it's a luchador. I think it could be a luchador mask, but for some reason, I don't know why, but I'm like, could this be Omos?
Omos? Okay. Just to bring him back for whatever reason.
I mean, Omos has been on the international circuit. You know, he was in Japan and whatnot. I also think Omos could be aligning with Shinsuke. I wouldn't be surprised at that. I just feel like Omos could be coming back. I don't know. I have no reason to think this is a reason why. I just feel like if you want to throw Omos in here versus Penta, I would like to see that.
You would? Okay.
Yeah, especially I mean, assuming that Omos is not the same Omos that we saw before, and he's actually gotten better. Especially if you go into New Japan, I'm like, okay, you should be able to work with these type of athletes, and not just be a Braun Strowman. And so again, that's me making assumptions. My favorite thing about the cinematic was when the dude was asking him to pay for the box. And he was like,
he was just like,
I need a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that was funny. I forgot that. He gave him at least $100. That was like $520.
That was all hundreds he had in his hand.
Was that all hundreds? So he gave him $500.
I think that was all hundreds.
Okay,
but,
all right.
I'm interested to see where this goes. I hope it's worthwhile. I did like what Shu said on Masked Man, where he was like, "Could this be El Generico?"
El Generico's dead though. That'd be fire if he had an El Generico mask. I'd be like, what the hell? At that point, if we open that up and El Generico's mask is in there, I have no fucking clue where we're going. And that makes Sammy
is technically written off television.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And so like he could easily go find El Generico.
No way.
This
El Generico died in a fire saving orphans. That's
what
happened to
the WWE universe.
All right, yeah, y'all don't know because y'all don't know. Right. But that's crazy. If we bring him back, I better hear Michael Cole bring up like, "Oh my God, he's alive" or something. I need at least that. Like, acknowledge that. Just give me like 2 lines of that. Like,
we all thought Han died in Fast and Furious 3.
I get it. That's why I said at least.
And then he came back. We all thought Letty died in Fast and Furious 4. And she came back. We all thought Brian was leaving. He's still alive. We all thought Gal Gadot's Giselle died in Fast and Furious 6. And she came back.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me as Generico can't come back. That'd be a great storyline.
I mean, the fact that you just use all Fast and Furious to back you up is, I would say, is a stretch, but yes, it is a storyline. But yeah, tell me about Gunther and Otis. You like this?
No, yeah, Gunther and Otis, man. Like, again, I'm still, lukewarm on the Gunther title reign. I think it's a little tame. I wish there was a little more meat to him. But I do like the fact that we're giving respect to, like, good workers at the end of the day, both on Otis and Gunther's side. Obviously, we know what Gunther does, but Otis, obviously, we know he's good. He's shown he could be good. But a lot of times you're part of this comedy gimmick that, you gotta do what you gotta do. And so to be in a match against Gunther and then, just showing that, like, yeah, I ain't no slouch. I can go toe to toe with you. I like that just for the simpleness of that. So I give that my mid stable.
Yeah. Cool. For me, the last thing I wanted to bring up was just the War Raiders retaining the Raw Tag Team championships versus American Made. And really, I just bring this here because it makes me wonder, like, what do you think is that the Raw Tag Team, like, title plans for Mania? Because if we just beat American Made, I don't have to, like, or they should theoretically be knocked to the back of the card, right? Because outside of just New Day, I don't know what we're doing.
I don't know what we're doing either. I like the War Raiders. I like American Made, but a lot of times I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah, we need to chew that. Those are the stories that need to be told too. I mean, granted, we are getting some focus over here on SmackDown.
Yeah,
like that's clearly going to be the tag team show. So
I don't think at this current time. I mean, obviously we have 6 weeks right now. I do not have the Raw Tag Team Championships
even on the card. Exactly.
On the card. Yeah,
exactly. So we shall see. But
anything else from the flagship show?
No, but just quick question. Do you think the women's Intercontinental and US titles are on the show? I would hope they are. Yeah, all right.
US title, yes. Intercontinental, no.
Yeah, okay. That's all I was wondering.
Though, again, SmackDown is a bit of an unfair position because it is the last show before any pop-up show that they could easily put Chelsea Green or the US title or the SmackDown's tag team title as the main event of SmackDown as the last thing before you go into WrestleMania. And so that gives the Intercontinental and the Raw tag team titles, because that's a Monday show. You're able to put that on Mania. Yeah. But right now, what's more interesting? The SmackDown.
Yeah.
SmackDown's US title is way more interesting. SmackDown's tag team division is way more interesting. At least we have 4 teams in SmackDown that are 4 or 5 teams on SmackDown that are fighting for a title. Raw, you got War Raiders and American Made, because New Day ain't focused on the tag team titles right now.
No, they just still beating up LWO.
And who's the other team? There's nobody else. It's one team race for the title. So, ready to head over next door to Bodega NXT.
And indeed, I am.
You wrote your stuff in the Notion doc first, and then as I looked through it, and then reviewed the show for myself, I was like, "You hit a nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head." So I will let you drive the conversation here on NXT since you started it. You put in everything that I had first.
Man, it was just, first off, the primo of the show is Sean Spears, the chairman, beating Tony D'Angelo for the North American title. That was, I don't want to say shocking, because they have been telling this story for a while now, and it makes sense. It's not like, you know, it caught me off guard really, but I think just the visual of it was really more so shocking to me that I'm like, dang, Tony's shoulders was on the mat for real. Like, this isn't Obafemi, you know what I mean? So it was just like clearly all the hijinks around, like even I'd say Izzy Dame getting involved. Obviously, I love that Rizzo was there to back up Tony D, and like, you know, she pulled like a, I don't know, like a Jeff Hardy, like running off the steps, you know, just crashing into her, start beating her up. So, but I really like the fact also they put over the fact that, throughout his career, this is his first singles championship in WWE. So,
shout out.
Yeah, it sure is. So, congratulations to him. And he is not Ty Dillinger. He is Sean Spears, the chairman, and also your North American champion.
He's married to Cassie, right? Cassie Lee?
Yes.
Of the Iconics?
Iconics, yeah. Or what's what's her? Yeah.
Her real name's Cassie Lee, I think.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay,
that's a real name, I believe.
Peyton Royce and
Peyton Royce was her name. Yeah.
Peyton Royce, yeah. Man, I miss the Iconics. They were so cute.
Yeah, I miss the Iconics too.
They're so cute. Like, imagine Iconics.
So good.
And Chelsea Green, like, they were actually funny as shit.
That would be amazing.
That would be insane.
Chelsea Green Piper with the Iconics. That might be one of the best women's factions ever.
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
Might be one of the best women's faction matches ever.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about Chelsea's faction because it did expand a bit. I think hopefully she calls it the cabinet or something. You know, that's what I'm imagining. She's really leaning into being president. Well, what was your thoughts about it though? Were you shocked or what? Was it
shocked? Not as shocked as EO, because I do think there's been some. For sure.
Not as shocked as EO.
There's been some kind of tea leaves that were probably dropped. Sean Spears, before he came out for the match, had a little backstage kind of run-in with Ricky Saints, basically telling him it seems like we're building up to maybe Sean Spears versus Ricky Saints. Though the reason I have this in Primo is for how the match finished, and I liked that. Really, Tony D had an out. He fell on a back. He fell on a fucking goddamn chair.
That's the steel chair.
His lower back fell on hit the steel chairs when he fell off the apron. He tried to power through it. He tried to lift him up for the spine buster. His lower back gave out, and the way Sean Spears rolled him up, it was like, you're not with a back injury, a lower back injury in kayfabe. You're not kicking out of that.
Yeah, you can't use your legs at that point. You can't lift your legs to kick out. That's what you're.
And so it's like, in a way, Tony D is gonna get his title back. I just like how it played out. The logistics of how this played out made sense. That I'm like, no fault here. I like it.
Yeah. Because this is where I die on the hill of telling. This is where you're telling the story of the match. Physically. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We knew about him coming in, having the back issues, you know what I'm saying? And Sean Spears focusing on the back. It's shouldn't be a surprise that falling on a chair, eventually it's like, oh, damn, he can't do it. That's why I was super pissed off about Seth Rollins beating Shinsuke, doing a goddamn, I don't know, swanton bomb off of the fucking, off of the bleachers and shit, when for the whole 2 months we're building that Seth's back is fucked up. And we gave Shinsuke a redesign to make him legitimate. Our Japanese wrestlers need to be taken care of. But back on topic. Like I said, this is I like how you said, the mechanics, the logistics of it, that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this is I think because they both are factions. I mean, there's no name for Sean Spears faction. It's just his crew or whatever. But that's D'Angelo family versus them. There's plenty of meat on that bone. You know what I'm saying? So he, like you said, he'll get the title back.
Tony will get the title back at Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
Or no, probably not next week, but because next week is a pretty big week for WWE. I think they're going to be they got 2 shows in New York. Because I think Raw is supposed to be at Madison Square Garden, like the actual garden where the Knicks play.
And NXT, yeah.
NXT is supposed to be at the Garden, but at their smaller show. It's called like the theater. It's like, if the Garden is the Garden, then there's like a smaller kind of like like what is the joint at Jacksonville? The Palace or whatever it's called.
I got what you're saying.
Yeah. It's like their smaller showroom. That's
Daly's Place.
Actual, yeah,
Daly's Place.
It's their smallest showroom, and then I think SmackDown. I think it's supposed to be in Barcelona.
Oh, fire! Going international. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So
fun for them.
Stand and Deliver. I think Tony gets his title back. But it still be like I said, the mechanics of it, especially not knowing that we were gonna get title changes on every fucking show.
Right.
Like this was the way this was done. I like this. I liked it. So that's why I have it at Primo.
Yeah.
Agreed upon mid.
Yeah. Jada Parker getting the W over Kaylani Jordan.
Yeah. I thought the match was great overall, physically. I like Kalani's hair. I don't know if she's ever had her hair blown out like that, but I'm like, it was different, and I liked it. She looked good. Like her hair looked good. I like the physicality on both sides of it. I mean, obviously, we know Jada Parker's character is inherently physical, but again, you're seeing it a little bit more from Kalani as well in some of those moves and things of that nature. And so, overall, it was just a great physical match, and I think Kalani's gotten the win over Jada the last couple times. So to see Jada get the win, hey, we're not done with this. We're not done with this. Yeah. Now, what comes out of this? There's probably a number one contendership match. Is it a number one contendership match for the title? The women's title? Or is it for the North American title?
North American. It's funny because I would hope that it's for the NXT title, because ever since Jada showed up, she was like talking smack to Roxanne, saying how she was next, for that. Mm-hmm. However, we know Kaylani just came out of the North American division as the first champion, so I would imagine that she's moving up. So that's my logic to it. I would think so, but hopefully it's for the big. I also think
the women's championship is a little bit stacked right now, or a little bit filled right now.
That's the problem.
If I'm Kalani, I'm like, I want to get my title back.
Yeah.
Be the first 2-time NXT North American Women's Champion. Like there's stuff there is legitimate reason for her to go get that. And then Jada's never won anything. Like, as far as titles wise, you know what I'm saying? So for her to make that immediate jump to the women's championship, it's like, I'm gonna need to just get that North American title first.
I don't think she needs it because her character is over, and she's like, even when she hasn't done in titles, she's done in rivalries because she's beat Michin. Michin came down there and put her over. Had that trilogy of matches, and the same thing with
Lola Vice.
Lola Vice, yeah, exactly. So those are her championships right there. Those two equal one, maybe. I don't know. I mean, especially you think about the North American title. It was the first one, so it's like, do you care? Yes, we're supposed to care because it's a title. Yes. But like I told you, I didn't care about Kaylani at all until she had the title. So let me see what you do it now. But either way, it works for me. But I guess, maybe they will be North American. Because if anything, for sure, like you said, the NXT Women's Championship is very clogged up right now. We got a title match right now coming up.
I think when you get into, I think we're still not done with this rivalry between Jada Parker and Kalani. I think where we're headed to now is just we're going to start getting some stipulations.
Yeah, that's what you do.
I don't know what this, maybe it leads into an underground match. Maybe it leads into a street fight match. Or something.
If Kaylani tries to street fight Jada, she will lose. That's what I was saying before. And she already does this time. I found that interesting because this would be the situation where it's most favorable, like in kayfabe for their characters, because Kaylani's a good girl who's growing up and she's like, I'm not the cute little girl anymore. And she's showing that by trying to be more physical and intimidating and, bring it down to the gutter. But the problem is Jada was born in the gutter. You know what I'm saying? You merely adopted it. That's what it is. That's the way I see this rivalry right now.
Yeah.
Like she's trying to like bring down to Jada's level, but it's like, nah, bitch, I do this. Like, so
maybe we might get a fight pit match.
exactly. I mean, Kaylani will win one of these matches, maybe not the whole rivalry, but she'll get her lick back somehow. I'm sure there'll be a pull apart brawl between these two very soon.
Oh, for sure. Shakes. We got 2 of them.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Zaruka. Zaruka getting the pin on the women's United States champion, Chelsea Green, and her partner, Piper Niven. You gotta love just, I think you said this before on the phone, where it's just like, you better not bring that referee down here. Like, Chelsea, I swear to God, you better not. Like, she like talks shit and then immediately regrets it. Like, what are you talking about? The only other thing that makes me cringe is like, okay, now it's Zaruka. You know what I'm saying? Official tag team name. We're just smashing them together. Zaruka. Yeah. So, but a pin on the women's United States champion. All right.
Yeah. No fault there. This was a good match. You know, Chelsea, wins and losses don't really matter to her because the character does so well that it's like, yeah, you're one of those characters that's like, yeah, we'll lose a regular singles match or a regular tag team match that has no like ramifications to it. But at the end of the day, like, I'm still going to come out on top. I was more concerned that like I saw a picture afterwards of her during the match where she was like super fucking bloody. And the way the picture was taken looked like she lost her like whole bottom row of teeth. She looked like a hockey player. I was like, oh shit, like what the fuck happened? Her teeth are fine. It was just a broken nose, but I was like, oh, okay. Because the picture looked worse. The picture looked worse than what it actually happened. But I was like, damn, Chelsea. Again, you talk about Dominic putting in work. Like, you know, as like, Chelsea is right there. Because then
for sure.
She got a fucking street fight with Michin on fucking Friday.
Sure did. And that's another follow-up to the dumpster match, which I love that dumpster match. Remember those cinematics of Chelsea like getting used to just being in the trash outside? She was like, ew. That was great. That was a great visual. But yeah, the last thing of the show that we agree on, other shake, just the continued tease of Fraxium versus the Hardys for the TNA Tag Team Championships. You love this idea. Obviously, this is one of those things where it's like, this is why we need relationships in wrestling, or like between the companies. I mean, because like, I would hope the Hardys are able to put Fraxium's, shoulders on the mat. I would book that right now. But boy, wouldn't that be something to be dual champs of like your company and somebody else's company? You know what I mean?
Hardys are too good. They ain't beating the Hardys. They're
not beating the Hardys. They're not beating the Hardys. That would be intriguing.
If they want to give them any kind of cred, like they're not going to beat the Hardys. I don't think they could beat the Hardys straight up. But that's just obviously a clear bias by my part.
You don't think they can beat them straight up in kayfabe? I mean, they're 25 years younger than them.
Experience,
it's just too much brotherly chemistry. Okay, fine.
Brotherly chemistry. Jeff's a world champion. Like, what are we talking about here? I'm a fan of Inamura and Josh Briggs. I like them more than Hank and Tank at this moment.
Me too. Me too.
And I'm like, man, I can see Hank and Tank. I can see Josh Briggs and Inamura causing Fraxium to lose this match.
Yeah, just so they can get another shot again.
Yeah,
I can see that. Because also, I didn't realize that they were heel or they were working heel until like obviously they came out there and was talking shit. Because originally, prior to that, their story is them getting their tag team chemistry together. Bonding, getting their bonding together, and it's like, okay, they're in lockstep now, and they're like, now that we're in lockstep, we fucking people up until we get these titles.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna need Inamura to not come out with just a regular WWE t-shirt.
Yeah, that was great. Literally just the WWE logo. Where I'm like, He probably showed them. They were like, maybe he didn't have his luggage or something. Like that would make sense because
Put the
Kofi
shirt
and
inside out.
Woods. Yeah, Kofi
Give me
and
a
Woods had
regular black shirt. You didn't need to have WWE, just a regular WWE black T-shirt. That's like what's his face? Goddamn, the dude from Parks and Rec, Rob Lowe.
Oh, Rob Lowe. Okay.
Yeah, when Rob Lowe wore an NFL hat.
Oh,
you ever see that?
The NFL? No,
it was just an NFL logo. It was like, who
NFL
wears
logo.
that? I didn't even know they sold that.
Supportive of the league itself. Yeah,
of the league itself. I'm a fan of the league.
No, that's funny as hell. I think,
but yeah.
Also, last thought was I'm pretty sure
great
I
to see the Hardys just in general on WWE television.
Yeah. I think I like the TNA tag team titles better. I like the red strap.
Okay.
Versus like the NXT ones. Just specifically that comparison. I like those.
I gotta put a side by side. I'm not.
Yeah, TNA has very striking looking belts with the red and everything. Moose's belt, the X Division belt, which has the very similar to the NXT. Obviously, there's a giant X, across the background of it with the red strap. So
they're the OG. They're the OG ones with the X, though.
Yep. Facts. That's it for me from NXT. Let's go to the coffee shop.
Yeah. Go home show.
This out? Oh my goodness, I did not. I watched this shit. My bad.
It's all good. As long as you know what you want to say. It's a go home show for AEW Dynamite before Revolution this Sunday. It was an all right show for me. It was, it did its job. There wasn't much to glean from this, but I had a trifecta of a double two mids here.
Okay.
From a match perspective, Ospreay, Hobbs, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe versus was it Cage, Archer, Davis, and Keith?
Yep.
That was a great match. Orange Cassidy continues to be one of my favorite wrestlers on the show. I believe, they ended up getting Ospreay and the team ended up getting the win. The after effects of, Ospreay getting his ass whooped, and then what was it? Mark Davis having to make a decision on whether to hit his I guess former friend with the chair, and then the disrespect that Kyle Fletcher
gave him.
was giving him. I thought that was kind of gives you. I mean, obviously Ospreay is kind of like, I feel like Ospreay is kind of like AEW Cena, whereas this man is not going to be losing.
Yeah,
you got to find a hard way for this man. Has he lost?
Yeah. I mean, lost to Daniel Bryan, lost to Swerve, for the title, lost to.
Okay. So but look at the names that we're talking about, like Danielson and Swerve.
When he first came in, because everybody was so excited, that's when it was like there was really a conversation about some people are so ravenous of like, oh, he's got the title shot, is he gonna win? Some people wanted him to beat Swerve like 3 months in. And seeing him post interview, he was like, that is the sickest thing I've ever heard. Absolutely not. If anything, the best thing I can do is come in here and put you over the best way that I can, and make you a dominant champion. Like, I haven't done anything yet. So it's great to hear that kind of thing. But yeah, he has lost, and he did a lot of the losing, like in dream match scenarios. He's lost to Kenny Omega, that type of thing. So yeah. But he has lost. Right now, you're right. He's in his prime. He's in his stride right now, where he's like in that Cena or indestructible mold, kind of.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's very hard. It's very hard for him to picture him lose. It's the same. There's a few, like Okada is one of those guys as well. It's like very hard to see these guys losing.
Yeah, it's hard to see Seth losing just generally. Also, I would put him like Seth, because that's the dream match. Seth versus Ospreay. That's like the one that that's a nuclear explosion if we ever see that.
Yeah. But overall, great match, and Orange Cassidy, one of the best things AEW's got.
I love the lazy, because the gimmick, man. I love gimmick wrestling. The lazy elbow drop, that's his signature, high flying thing. I love it. Just walking up there and dropping off of his shoulders, that's funny. But yeah, the disrespect to Mark Davis, I thought was nuts, because Don Callis literally just introduced Mark Davis. And as I explained to you, they were all part of United Empire. And I guess the story now is like, I guess Mark Davis didn't know what he was getting into, like walking in as part of Don Callis' family, like Kyle Fletcher's being an asshole and stuff. But I just look forward to see where that goes. I mean, the Don Callis family is inherently a faction. He always has like 4 guys with him. So if Mark Davis ends up joining Will Ospreay, I don't think that's the end of the world or a bad move to do at all. You know, so just swing it the other way. Where you thought you was getting this guy coming in? Here you go. Like he sees your asshole like everybody else, you know.
Where did you have this ranked? Did you have this on your card?
Yeah, I would have this mid as well.
Okay.
Like I said, the standard 8-man in-ring primo, but means nothing actually outside of like, you know, that they spoon-fed, that little bit of story at the end, which I thought was pretty good. That was a good segment though, to push it forward. One that I see that you don't have on here, I would also put this at mid, would be the Swerve and Ricochet contract signing for Revolution. And I am at the, just give me the match, of course. But
that's kind of why I didn't put it on here. But if I did, it'd probably be a mid. Yeah.
Yeah. But I love the visual of like Swerve still isn't shaken. This is what I'm taking away from it. Because yes, he did beat him previously, or he did lose to Ricochet previously. But he is hyper motivated and he is focused, and that's what he was saying in this promo. And the fact that Ricochet tries to sneak him with some scissors again, the same golden scissors, and Swerve got his own. And he's like, "No, I got you this time." I was like, "All right, I fuck with that." He was like,
I did like the talk. I did like the talking in that segment because Ricochet, he was doing his great job of being like an annoying, snarky heel. And then the entire time, I loved Swerve's response for most of it because he was like, every time Ricochet would just talk, and then Swerve would just say one thing: sign the contract.
Yeah.
Sign the contract.
And
sign the contract. And then eventually he was like, annoying. You are so fucking annoying. You little prick.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, like, he left it off with, okay, the Samantha line, whatever. Like, it's one of those lines where I'm like, okay, we get it. He was like, ooh, it's like, whatever. Like, there's no reason to bring Samantha into this, but whatever. No, yeah, it was good. The scissors still don't work for me.
Yeah, of course.
Because like they're way too big. Those scissors remind me of like a tailor scissors.
Oh, like I know what you're talking about.
Because they're so big that it seems like they're used to like, cut jackets and like, refit things and things of that nature. But I'm like, why do you have that? Why do you have that? I don't know. But
obviously.
Either way, I thought this was still a good segment. The reason I don't have it in here is the fact that I'm like, just get us to the match.
Let's get to what's your other mid up here?
My mid.
MJF Hangman promo. Fight, really? The way that ended.
Yeah. I put this here more so for the MJF promo when he's outside and cutting it in it looks like he was in Carytown.
Yeah.
Like it looked a little too nice. It looked a little too nice of an area to be talking about like a street fight. I'm like, I'm gonna need you to go a little bit where there's like, like a crackhead in the corner or some shit like that. Yeah. I need you to be like in a little bit of a dirtier place. That looked like if you walk around the corner, they are fine wine and dining. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I like this promo. He had a lot of nice like anger and vigor in his tone and things of that nature. And so I thought that worked out well. The burning and things of that nature.
On fire.
Yeah, okay. I guess we're gonna see somebody get put on fire on Sunday. Like
we know we're not gonna immolate people, but it's always good as a threat.
We've seen people put on fire before. Kane been put on fire how many times?
That's true. That's true.
Well, it ain't none to see somebody on fire.
Who's getting put on fire between those two? You think in that match? If you had to, not who's winning, but who would get set on fire if you had to guess?
I don't think MJF about that life.
Yeah, I think it would be Hangman too.
Yeah.
After all his shit with Swerve, after all his shit with Swerve, he'd be like, "Yeah, I can do a quick flame, stop, drop, and roll for 10 seconds." If anything, that'll be a great look at like seeing that in 2025 done safely would obviously look great, but I don't know what that looks like. So
I can't remember the last time somebody been put on fire. I feel like it happened recently within the last like 15 years, but I can't remember who.
Yeah.
But,
Because
overall the promo I thought was great. MJF, he cuts, again, as much as I can say he could be a little bit one-dimensional, he does it really well. And then, I guess there are times where it comes off better than other times, So this one I thought this was a really good one.
I would put this in I'll put this in Shake, I think. It's still like it's really gotten over with me. The Platinum Max Caster, best wrestler alive. And because obviously, similar to Ricochet, he's just being annoying. Like the second he comes out, he gets booed. He's getting like almost Dominic Mysterio heat, already at this point, because he just starts off the same way. I'm the best wrestler alive, and I'm here to beat up anyone. He still has this open challenge going, but the best part is like he just keeps losing them all. And this time we get the return of Jay White finally, and he just gives him a quick Blade Runner. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing. Absolutely nothing. But just like, what's the
Blade Runner looks just like the Crossroads.
Oh, nah, she look like Sister Abigail.
They're all kind of the same.
It's Sister. Yeah. It's not, but it's Sister Abigail, like that reverse, like gripping thing. But either way, it just makes me wonder, like, what's the peak of this character? Where does Platinum like the best part of Max Caster's story right now as the best wrestler alive? And he just keeps losing. Yeah, my bad. Like he's losing over and over and over again. I'm like, okay, how does this actually get him? I mean, he's over as a heel, but I'm like, how does? Oh no, I just think it's interesting. I want to see.
I have the same question because I'm like, if you are just gonna get squashed, how does that? How are you going to get over?
Yeah. I think
unless you get like a major upset win against like
that's obviously going to happen. That's obvious. He's gonna have to get wins at some point. You know what I mean? But it's just like, how do you execute that? Because right now, I mean, he's being a jobber. He's just like every episode jobber. R-Truth was getting his ass kicked all the time. You know what I'm saying? And we get that WrestleMania moment eventually of him at the top of the ladder. So. Granted, that's 15 years, so I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying this like current year storyline of like Platinum Max Caster. I wonder where it ends up, but I can't predict it because, like you said, it's hard to predict a guy losing into winning, losing his way into winning. So
if I had this is wild booking, it's never going to happen because we don't have enough time to make this happen. But I saw him when he was coming out. They had his little title card of his name. And AEW, they still use records.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what his record is? 123, 50, and 1.
Yeah.
What happens if that guy gets close to 500?
Oh, 500 losses?
No, I'm talking about winning percentage. So right now he's 123, 50, and 1. So he would need to lose about 70 matches.
73 matches to tie that? Yeah.
Holy so he'd be like, okay, fuck. Like, trust me, I'm the best wrestler in the world. And then he's just basically like, find a stable above 500. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's funny as hell. That's funny as hell, though. Like,
but we don't have time for him to lose 73 matches unless he's like losing matches like that are not on TV. That's like, okay.
He's wrestling like on some Goldberg also.
Kind of like some Goldberg shit where it's like, bro, you had like 20 wins last week and now you have 35. How do you have
exactly?
How do you have 15 wins in a week?
I could fuck with that. If we're just steadily doing that, well, we just speed it up to like in like a 2-month period. He loses, like you said, that's 73 matches. You're like, how the hell did you do that? Like
he runs through he has a gauntlet match where he has to go with 5 people and he loses every single one of them.
Oh, no. Man, it's hard. Like, because we got to start cheering for him, like, to get that W at some point. But either way, I think that would be it for me.
Yeah, it was a decent show. It wasn't nothing much to write home about.
Another. I mean, constantly under Tony's spell. It doesn't matter to me. I'll put her. It's mid-stable permanently, at least. But just the little sit down between her and Mariah for their Hollywood ending, and really Mariah just like losing her mind. What I really enjoyed about that was it did remind me of like how Mariah started. She started as a fan of her, similar to like you remember when Mickey James debuted, and she was just like a huge fan of Trish Stratus.
Yeah, psychotic fan. Yeah.
Yeah. But Mariah was like less psychotic, and she was a fan of her films, like Tony's films. So her like basically crying in front of Tony and being like, "Isn't this what you wanted? Like the Hollywood ending with your favorite co-star and shit." And I'm like, okay, this is what you've been doing. But for her, Mariah, to just say those words out loud, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a nice way to tie the bow on it. And then Tony, just with a still face, she's like, "You do not deserve the dignity of a death by my hands." You like crawl into a hole or some shit. Like I forget. She was like, "You will be like punished by the worst defeat of all, irrelevancy. Nobody will care. You will just fade, and nobody will even remember that you were here." And I'm just like, damn, Tony's cutting deep with that shit, holding that title. So
it was good. I thought it was a little over dramatic at points, but again, it fits with what the characters are. Like they're actors in in this world. So it was cool. I'd have it at Shake. Again, there's certain things that AEW does where I'm just like, this is bottom tier character work. Like, I don't know how many times I see somebody in AEW spit on somebody.
Oh, you mean just like through talking? Like
no, I mean like, look, literally, they just spit at somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Like she started that interview spitting at fucking Tony Storm.
Yeah, no, that's a fact.
And it's like, how many times? Like, again, it's just bottom of the barrel, easy shit to be like, ooh. It's like, bruh, if somebody had a real problem like that, nobody's gonna be spitting at you. Like that's some pussy ass shit. Regardless of his character or in real life, like you spin on somebody, there is no conversation that's being had afterwards. Like if you're gonna do that, don't do it at the beginning of the fucking interview. Do that at the end.
Yeah, that sounds like picking that.
Because then I'm whipping your ass. I'm whipping your ass. I'm not sitting there for 2 minutes and having a full-on conversation with you composed.
I mean, immediately invoked like the most famous spit that I can remember is Randy spitting in Mick Foley's face backstage, and Mick Foley just walked away. So that's why I didn't have a problem with it, because also in that exact same segment, she sees Mariah's crashing out. Like she sees Mariah's like she's broken her psyche. You know what I'm saying? That's why Tony's so calm.
I get it. Again, it's more so for me. I'm like, it's a thing that I see from AEW where I'm like, there's just a lot of bottom of the barrel, it's easy apples to pick rather than actually trying to fucking tell a nuanced story. It's like, oh, like let's make a claim about your wife. Let's talk about you, like the Jeff Jarrett and MJF, like all of that shit. It's just like, this is too easy. And it's just for oohs and ahs. And I'm like, can we write something that actually has weight to it and not trying to get the cheap?
I hear what you're saying, but I think it's unfair to compare that to like Mariah and Tony, because this is the best rivalry that AEW has ever put on. So you can have, fatigue with it, but if there's anywhere, because we already said, like for me, it's like get us to the match. The same thing with Swerve and Ricochet, because we're ready for them already. So it's like by the point that you're at that level, you shouldn't be spitting. You know what I'm saying? You're doing spitting when you're like trying to get that shock. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I think this is them. I agree with you, bottom of the barrel, because they're done already. Like especially Tony and Mariah, they've been going for a year and change. So we don't need any more added fuel to the fire. You know what I'm saying? Like the only way that this is ending for them is actually if Tony. That's
but again, you say we don't need adding more fuel to the fire. Everything Tony said was way more valuable than anything Mariah said or did. When she talked about her being irrelevant and this, that, and the third, like that had way more impact than a spit. Again, the spit was just like, ooh. And it's like the same thing. The reason Swerve brought up Samantha. Ooh, you brought up his wife. Like, come on. What are we like? We're grown ass folk. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, some shit, I'm just like, it's just too easy. It's too easy. So when you say, are we just as good as booking at Tony Khan? When I see some shit like that, I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's it's too often it's just like, I'm just like, too much of it is just for easy shock factor. And I'm like,
I wonder how much of that is also, I mean, because we know top of the card gets like pretty much free reign, or not free reign, but like they get character control. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they will go out there with a hot mic and just say stuff. You know, we know MJF, Hangman, Swerve is doing that. So it's like that's a choice from Swerve if that's the case. I doubt that we're writing this line about Samantha Irvin in. I doubt that, seriously. That's something that Swerve just said off the cuff because once again, it's a punch in the throat real quick right before the ending of this. And but either way, different strokes for different folks. But yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. It's not, as much as I might talk about it, I don't really necessarily. I just want them to just be like, yeah. It's not the fact that they use it; is the fact that it's used so often across everybody on the show and in various ways. And that's where I'm like, does everybody need to kind of go pick from the same tree?
Mm-hmm.
That's
bringing
basically
like stretching the kayfabe. Like I remember when like MJF and like Will Ospreay had their rivalry, and he talked about his wife, or not his wife, but his fiance left him. But that was a known thing. But but I think that's up to the character. That's up to the wrestler though, because I mean, you're not putting something on TV that you're not comfortable with, right? I mean, if somebody is not comfortable with that, like we just saw. I mean, you were telling me how like KO's family is a wrestling family, and like it was okay for Sammy to. He said something about KO's mom or some shit. I forget what it was, but it was during their build up. But it's like we understand the business that they're in, or they do as well. So it's like we're not going to get anything that's out of bounds.
But
for real,
KO and Sammy, we know that what their relationship is. Again, I'm not trying to give WWE an excuse because they do it as well. My thing is the fact that I think when you use shit like that, you're probably not as good as you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like Seth don't be really making no snide remarks about people's families and shit like that. That shit is all personal between them. It's all within the stuff. And then so for me, I'm like, anytime you have to go picking for the easiest apple, how good are you on the mic? If you have to resort, it's no different than saying right here in Washington D.C. and then getting a cheap pop. It's no different. There's a face pop, and then there's ways to get a heel pop. Those are just ways of getting heel pops. And I'm like, sometimes I just feel like it's over redundant. It's overused. That's all.
Okay.
I'm not saying you can't use it. Sometimes it just feels it's overused across the entire show. Not even with this one character, like everybody.
But you're saying adding it up over the course of it, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I say MJF. I'm like, sometimes you could be a little one-dimensional because your character is always at 10.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm like, okay, dude. Like, no one is that fucking evil unless you become a character of yourself. Like, that, again, I'm overkilling the point. It's not that I hate it or I just tone it down a little bit. That's all.
Okay.
Be selective.
You got any more for Dynamite?
Nope.
Okay.
That's it for me at the coffee shop.
All right. Light stuff here. We got another edition of the Book of Wrestling. You gonna cue up that music?
What do we got, Moody?
All right. For the match entrance this week, decided to just call this the best TNA match of all time. It's pretty much undisputed. At this point, this is also famously the match that inspired Will Ospreay to start wrestling. But we got at TNA Unbreakable 2005, the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, who is the X Division champion, defending his title against the phenomenal AJ Styles and the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe. At the end of this match, AJ wins by countering Angel's Wings, which is Christopher Daniels' finisher. The same thing as, Tommaso Ciampa's fairy tale ending. It's the same thing.
Okay.
He counters it into a Northern Lights bridge, and for some reason, Christopher Daniels does not let go of the bridge, because his AJ's arms are captured, but he gets him down. It's 30 minutes long. It is, bro, a breakneck pace from the beginning. The chemistry between all these guys, there is not an ounce of fat. Like, this is or it depends on how you like your steak. Either it's like 100% meat, or it's like the fattiest Wagyu. You know what I'm saying? Like, either way, this is like the largest. At a certain point in time, we knew TNA was the largest counter to WWE, and I definitely remember changing channels in the 2000s and coming across Spike and being like, oh shit, the 6-sided ring, know that's TNA. And then this is the match that like just solidifies them as like, holy shit, they really got something here. I think they were already ahead of that, but this was also their first 5-star match, for whatever that's worth,
Yeah.
So they can put on great stuff too. But
Yeah,
take the time
I'll
to watch this.
definitely check it out.
Yeah. And interesting note, like I said, Christopher Daniels, the same guy who currently is the cause of Hangman's slow face turn, because that was his mentor, was Hangman's mentor. But he was a champion in that match.
You mentioned at the beginning that this was the match that got Will Ospreay to want to start wrestling, which made me look up how old Will Ospreay is, because you said this match was 2005. Well, this match was in 2005, meaning that we're 15, 16, me and you are 15, 16 years old when this match was happening. Will Ospreay, 31 years old as of today, turns 32 May 7th.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday then. Yeah.
In 2 months. Yeah.
Oh, May 7th. I was thinking March. My bad. I heard March in my head when you said May.
But yeah, dude was like 12 years old.
Yeah. Makes sense. Man. That tracks. That's like that 9 to 12 is like peak. Holy shit, I'm watching wrestling time, until people start frying you in middle school, and then you like put it away, or you don't. But
that's crazy. I'll take the next one here. I'll take the sad one, because I don't even know what the other one is. March 5th, 2013, the passing of Paul Bearer. William Paul Bearer Moody passed away as the result of a heart attack. The Undertaker's longtime manager passed away in a hometown of Mobile, Alabama, age 58. I remember when this news came out, it was 2013, and I was like, who's William Moody? Because I thought his name was Paul Bearer. Because I didn't even understand what a Paul Bearer was. I was just like, oh, those are the dudes that carry the caskets and stuff like that when somebody passes away. Yeah, I was like, William Moody. But yeah, either way, Paul Bearer, such an iconic character in wrestling. Oh,
an iconic voice. I was
gonna
say one of the most iconic voices and like just phrases like of all time for
everything
sure.
When he like gave you like that like stink eye look with the fucking pale makeup face and everything like that. And then obviously this dude got put in the Undertaker fucking buried him in a cement.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, that man was dead for real.
Paul Bearer,
I love those camera tricks from back in the day. That's my cousin, movie.
So much of the spirit of the Undertaker derives from Paul Bearer. Like, Undertaker can do it obviously by himself, but when you got Undertaker with Paul Bearer, man, it's insane. It's insane. So rest in peace, Paul Bearer. You're an iconic person in wrestling history, and you were recognized in this week's Book of Wrestling.
Absolutely. This one is also sad, just sad in a different way. March 5th, 2017, Goldberg's first Universal title win. WWE presented Fastlane pay-per-view at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The main event saw Goldberg defeat Kevin Owens to win the Universal Championship in 23 seconds. he would later go on to drop the title at WrestleMania 33 to Brock Lesnar. Jesus. And
It's funny. Go ahead.
Goldberg is a 3-time Universal Champion. 3 times. He beats
It's funny.
Brock and he beats The Fiend.
On
Also,
Wednesday
that's
Worldwide, they went through his last 8 matches in WWE. No match lasted longer than 8 minutes. There were about 3 matches that lasted a little over 2 minutes. Like, what are we doing here? And this nigga wants to have a
he can't work.
And he's having a match that he's having his retirement match this year.
And
it might be against Gunther. And I hope Gunther just ends that nigga in the world record time.
For real. Powerbomb him to hell. For real.
On the new announced tables. The ones that don't break.
Exactly. Let's see how strong those tables actually are. Because Goldberg's still got to be walking around 250, I'm sure.
Wild. But I mean,
yes,
again,
like
Goldberg,
I
respect Goldberg for his WCW era. His WWE era has, even when he came in 2003, nothing spectacular.
Yeah.
His WWE run has just been it's been average at best. His WCW run is obviously an all-time run. So you got to give him respect for that. But man, I am good if we never see another Goldberg match again.
Yeah, for sure. That is it for this edition of the Book of Wrestling. We got our SmackDown recap at the boutique.
Yeah. Biggest thing that happened on the show. Naomi did it for Bianca. The same way her father-in-law did it for The Rock.
I'm so glad you said that because that immediately came to my head listening to her. I was like, I did it for The Rock. I did it for you. I'm like, all right. I was like, we tying in the the Samoan family lineage, like it, she had to talk to father-in-law.
Yeah, she definitely. Pops, I bet you Pops gave her a good amount of advice on how to approach this.
Yeah. But and not to mention, yes, like this is why I bring out, she was this close, or Bianca was this close from her own champion of the week this week for all the goddamn tears. Boy, she was shrieking
both of them.
Week.
Man. This is the most emotion that I've ever seen either one of these women display.
Yeah. That's what was interesting to me because like Naomi, she starts off like hard saying like, I did what I had to without admitting it at first. And then she's like, you hear the emotion in her and she starts crying. And I'm like, and then I noticed distinctly that the crowd was just quiet at first, but then they started booing. They were like, hold on, boo. They started booing her. I'm like, man, we booing black tears out here? Is that what we doing? Like, we can't have this woman just admit her faults right now. But I just found that interesting that I was like, okay, we already there with the crowd is like, nah, Naomi, we ain't fucking with that. That's some heel shit, dog. Like, you can't do that. Because that's the obvious answer. But Jade came down there and gave her another lick too. So
yeah. But I also, again, both I think in most sense, I'd probably have this in like mid-rising because I was like, oh, okay, it feels a little over dramatic. Like, there's a lot of tears flowing, but I'm like, also though, I do like my telenovelas, and right now this is leaning very telenovela, and I'm like, okay, I can rock with it, and
between Elimination
some of Naomi's arguments,
of
Naomi's arguments don't make much sense. She said that she thought Jade was piggybacking off of her and using her this, that, and the third. I'm like, girl, what the fuck are you doing then?
Yeah. And she was like, we need to focus on getting our titles and you focusing on Mania. And I'm saying,
but like, if we're talking about piggybacking, Bianca was already champion and then you just hopped in because you just was on a year-long losing streak.
Basically.
And then all of a sudden you tag team champion. So who's piggybacking off of who? If we're going by that logic, because me and you have been Naomi stans and have talked about like, why the fuck did you come back if you're just gonna be taking L's?
Yeah.
So there's holes in Naomi's argument.
Jade might say that exact thing that you just said next week. Like whenever Jade gets the mic, or Bianca, like whenever it gets through her head, we might hear those exact words. Like, I mean, we just got the explanation, and Bianca was just too emotional to even really address it. She was like, just stop, and just walked away.
And I think Jade has some issues with Bianca, because when she came out, she just looked at her and kind of gave her like a and then went down the aisle to go whip Naomi's ass. And so I'm like, is there a situation where kind of similar to the New Day that was pissed at E for not being around? Is it like Jade was like, bro, girl, you could have been found out who did this to me if you came to the motherfucking hospital.
Right.
But you never did. Mm-hmm. Bianca wasn't there.
Also, this can be how we get them versus each other. I'm not saying obviously they're tied up right now, but if we can get a rivalry between them, Naomi just setting it up that, basically Jade needed her is already enough motivation for Jade to come back and look at her like that. Like, bitch, I don't need you. Look at these fucking guns right here. Like, you see this? You know what I'm saying? And just off of that, I think she can just be like, I don't need anybody. And maybe lean heel. She was a heel in AEW. I thought she is way better heel than face. And we're talking about Bianca. So I think it would be easier both ways, because eternal John Cena, like we're saying. So
yeah, but I also I don't think Bianca's in the clear. Now, maybe this is just her not just being like the most like, developed, actress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some of it felt like the way she was speaking felt like she was trying to make other people believe what was happening, and not like she was in a true space to trying to figure it out. And I always the same shit that I say about with Seth as it relates to like his issues with like Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, right? What are Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns? They're legacy stars, right? They got a whole history of family wrestling to kind of back them up, right? As far as like their positioning here. What does Seth Rollins' music say? Burn it down. And that's what I want my motherfucking nigga Seth to do. Burn that shit down. Burn that whole Dusty Rhodes legacy. Burn all that Samoan shit down. And let's start something fucking new. What does Bianca's music say?
I'm on my own
against the world.
Wild. I know.
And then
I'll be paying attention to music.
Yeah.
I'll be on
blah,
that.
blah, blah. I never needed you at all.
Oh, exactly.
I don't need Bianca. I don't need Naomi. I don't need Jade.
I need Jade. Yeah.
I've been tagged with a tag team partner. I don't want tag team titles. My name is Bianca Belair. I am the EST. I need to get my fucking goddamn championship back. Whether it be women's heavyweight championship, which I don't think she's ever held, because that's pretty much brand new, or the WWE Women's Undisputed Championship, whatever you want to call that one, the SmackDown joint. I don't need you at all. She could still have the same music, effectively the same character, effectively the same lines. We've talked about this before, and just be heel. And
just leaning heel. You're just leaning heel. Yeah. Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past Bianca that there's something here, though. If Naomi's just gonna come out and say like I did it, maybe they're trying to sell Jade.
Yeah.
That like Naomi did. I don't know. I feel like there's still more meat on the bones, and this is only the beginning of it. So
yeah, for sure. And last thing, I'll be noticing what they wearing. Jade came out there in a bodysuit that basically reminded me of Dexter, the show, like complete blood splatter on just a white bodysuit, and I was just like, all right, she's gonna beat the hell out of somebody, obviously. Because I was just like, whenever they wear just all white, you're like, okay, somebody's gonna get busted open if somebody's wearing all white. But
well, if you're paying attention, Bianca and Naomi in the Elimination Chamber were in all white.
Yeah.
Jade came out in black.
Yeah.
This week, Bianca and Naomi were in all black. Jade comes out in all white.
White blood splatter. Yeah.
So
there you go. So she was just saying, "I beat your ass already" to Naomi. That's really what that was. With that context,
more ammunition to say that Bianca is not in the clear in this yet, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still primo of the show, best thing on the show for me,
for sure,
and for you,
for sure.
Our mids, we're tied. We agree.
Yeah.
Which one you want to start off with?
Chelsea getting the win over Michin, because we got a Secretary of Defense. That's what I'm going to call her. Alba Fire returning. You know, we know that Unholy Union unfortunately had to come to an end with Isla Dawn being released. But this is an interesting way to, like I said, expand the faction of the cabinet. Hopefully,
did she align herself with her, or does she just attack?
She did the salute. Okay. She attacked, and she did Chelsea's like salute to the U.S. So
I missed that part. So that's that. I was like, what beef does Alba Fry have with Michin?
Nothing at all. And she had like also like, you know, Piper's been dressed like Secret Service, so she did have like a black blazer on with like a white button-up shirt. So
okay, I missed that. Okay,
yeah, and a salute. So I'm like, okay, she's just aligning herself, and I'm like, okay, I'm in on. It's so funny to have like. Because Chelsea is a comedy jobber, actually. That's like really her like build, which is why I don't have issues with her like losing or being like beat in matches, because in kayfabe, I feel like she's like Maxine. She's not a good wrestler, actually, like, or not that good. You know what I'm saying? She can pull stuff out, but she's not Bianca. She's not Aria. She's not Io. She's not any of them. You know what I'm saying? But
again, in kayfabe, I'm gonna hold you. I'm gonna keep that in kayfabe, because in shoot, she can fucking wrestle her ass off. Yeah, okay. Of
course, that's what I'm saying. Like,
we don't need no Zack. We don't need Zack Ryder coming up in here whooping our ass.
No, I made it clear at the beginning. We don't need to stress it.
Sorry,
but her character is constantly like talking shit and then hiding behind Piper. You know what I'm saying? Because she has defense. So now just adding another person, it's just like we can just keep on. Like, you don't want it to get tired, like Judgment Day, interference spots, yada, yada. Like, at a point that will get tired, but this is in a different way, I would say, for Chelsea to win. This is part of her character, is having this cabinet, because she can't do it by herself. She knows that in her head, in kayfabe. So, yeah, that's the way I like, and I really enjoyed that. That's the way I look at it.
All right, yeah, this was good. I really enjoyed it as well. I like the fact that Alba Fire is making an appearance, and it seems like is going to be part of Chelsea's cabinet. Disappointed again that Michin lost.
Yeah, but it's that's the thing though. It's like, because once you get like these trilogies, like we know how they should go in the rubber match, or like we have the feel for it, and especially it's just harder when it's in an extended rivalry. Like at this point, because even we still got like Dakota Kai and Lyra. You know, Lyra just beat Dakota again. So we haven't done too much building of these titles as of yet. We've been keeping the same women associated with them. But for you to continue it and at least give us another wrinkle, like in this, if this is a continued story, or even if it's not, this is a wrinkle for the character of Chelsea herself, you know, going forward, even if it's not for it. So that's why it's good, in my opinion. But it will get dry at a point, obviously, because we can't, it's not like we can keep on adding women to the cabinet. It's just every week we're just spamming the same thing, like, and that's how Chelsea's like keeping her title reign going. Eventually, they
especially like this is like her second street fight against Michin, and then she's again. This is a street fight supposed to be Michin's bread and butter.
Yeah,
and you keep losing. That's like the Undertaker being in a Hell in a Cell match and just losing every goddamn time. It's like, it ain't your match no more.
For real. So it's not playing. You're not playing to your strengths.
I still think Michin will get it, but man, like, can we do something? Can we do something?
That's where I'm like, I feel like Michin should be pushed to the back. Honestly, especially after.
I mean, at this point, I don't blame you for having that thought.
Who's the women on the roster? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I had the same thought with Lyra Valkyria, where I'm like, yo, Shayna's right there. Like, I've been a fan. You know, I've been a fan of Shayna ever since they fumbled her after her Elimination Chamber in 2020, and they just fed her to Charlotte too. So I don't know, but you got other women. I mean, I understand it's a story, so we're just looking forward to the next rivalries. I guess that's what we're saying. What's the next step in these mid-card women titles?
Exactly. I mean, It seems like, I mean, there has been word that they are looking to bring back a women's WWE's Evolution
Yeah.
this
Which, I
summer.
mean, I fuck with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I fucks with it as well. We've talked about it, like, why haven't they? We talked about it months ago, like, why don't they do it again? It just seems interesting that they decide to have conversations about bringing it back after there was word that the women are not happy with some of the booking.
Yeah.
And so
True.
it's like, again,
Let's
how
get
much
all
of
y'all
this
on
is
a
a
pay-per-view.
how much of this is a half measure?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So
instead of just building us the stories and putting them in the main event of, like, you know, at least TV episodes that we could care about, you know, this rivalry that's happening.
Actually have them talk, you know, and build storylines.
Exactly.
But let's get to the other mid, which is your boys get a huge win.
Yeah. We are in a title match.
Contenders match.
Profits.
I think they qualified to be in a contenders match. So whoever wins between
I thought
DIY,
this was a contender match. Oh, okay.
Whoever wins between DIY and Street Profits faces Pretty Deadly, and they will be the number one contenders for.
Okay.
I believe that's how it works out.
Either way, I would have them winning, but Street Profits going to come down there and fuck it up. Like, they ain't having nobody else win the titles before them. So that's my booking. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we've been said, Street Profits y'all got to do something with them. The only other wrinkle to me is, like, I don't know if you saw this. There was, you know, Ray Phoenix is inbound to WWE sooner than later, as some people say. So,
I mean, some people said that him and Penta signed at the same time. It's just Tony wasn't letting Ray Phoenix out. So,
yeah, exactly.
I think that was already a foregone conclusion. It was just Ray Phoenix was just waiting for Tony to let him out of his contract.
Let him out. Yeah. So well, Penta's on Raw, so I guess that would be Lucha Brothers on Raw then. So that's another team. So I guess they wouldn't be part of this. So never mind. That's a false flag by me. But yeah, assuming Ray Phoenix would come to join his brother, they would be on Raw, so they wouldn't be involved in this. But that's the only thing is, like, man, I really want Penta to be solo right now. But it would still be sick to see Lucha Brothers on WWE.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
If they can pull off the Fraxium thing, you know, they going for their own championships. Like, hey, they both lit by themselves. So I would like for them to be pulling double duty like that. That'd be cool.
We'll see. Shakes. The main event was LA Knight versus Shinsuke, and it is a week of title changes, and we got our third title change of the week. This one, I have this in Shake because it is the third title change of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was supposed to happen last week, I believe, but I think Shinsuke had a friend pass away, so he had to excuse absence from SmackDown last week. And so that's why when we said, like, oh, hey, look, there's a whole U.S. Championship tournament contendership happening all in one episode of SmackDown, is because LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura was supposed to happen last week, but obviously didn't. And so LA Knight was already going to have this match. They went through that tournament, and then LA Knight ended up keeping his fucking contendership just so he can, you know,
that's good though. Hey, we enjoyed the through line through the whole episode. We used that tournament to carry us.
Yeah, I like the idea. It's more so like, if I have to put anything as a whole, we don't have this as a category, as a thing. But if I had to put one thing, I guess it's not Reggie. I will put it as Shake that we had 3 title changes this week.
Okay. But just so it's too much, it just takes the gravity away from title changes because they're all cluttered together.
Like, oh, so like that. Now that makes it feel like I'm watching a TV show.
True. Yeah.
All y'all niggas losing the same week. All.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And like you said, the road to WrestleMania, we're just clearly just setting up the card. Actually,
like, come on now, like that. So that's where EO great. Sean Spears made sense.
Yeah.
Right? This unfortunate. Because again, I think this was supposed to happen last week, but it just got caught in real life circumstances that you push it to this week. All of a sudden, we have 3 title changes in the same week. And it's just like, I don't mind title changes, but I'm like, we never really have title changes as much as we used to. And then all of a sudden, 3 different title changes in 1 week.
Yeah. But it couldn't be more obvious.
So that was why. That's why I leave this in shake.
Plans. Yeah.
That's why I leave this in shake.
And my shake was Braun Strowman getting his lick back this against Jacob, but this was actually Solo versus Braun that ended in DQ with Tama Tonga attacking him and stuff. But we got to the main event real quick because we know Tama Tonga, like, he would throw his ass into the crowd. Braun could do that from the ring, but we get the whole entrance for him though, and he walks down that doom doom doom, like that shit, man. Get you amped up, face that, like that face off, and they just kaiju battle again all the way through the arena. And that's what immediately put Bronson Reed back in my head again, where we said that was a kaiju battle, and I'm like, damn. Now I want to, like, the only thing we know about that match is that Braun is taking the pin. Like, we have that 3-way. But yeah, that's another dream scenario. You're like, shit, dog. Or last time we saw Bronson, they were on the same time. Yeah. Last time we saw Bronson, they were on the same side with the bloodline. You know what I'm saying? So, or we just make them a tag team. Yeah. Well, that visual is crazy. But Braun gets the W this time. They fight through the crowd and ends with a choke slam off of the the stacked tech equipment area that we know that we have in the arena every so often into some tables. So I liked it. Jacob's not indestructible, but he kind of is because he also stood up after the choke slam. So.
I mean, it takes a certain type of human being to knock off Jacob, and so we are seeing what type of human being that it is going to take.
Yeah, well, Sammy's is resiliency. Jacob's is what? Like is he just like a tank? Like I think that's what it is. Like unless you hit him with like a super effective move, then it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like you have to pull out all of your arsenal to just do the most fraction of damage to him, basically. Because I guarantee we'll come up with a badge.
We'll come up with a badge name.
Yeah,
we'll come up with the equivalent. Right now, I'm thinking is that armor?
Yeah, straight body plot armor.
Yeah.
Well, no, Cody has diamond plot armor. That's what he has right now. Yeah, but
I have one more shake. Did you have any more thoughts? I had one more shake.
No, that's
it's
it.
not on
That's
here.
it.
This shake relates to the Tiffany and Charlotte rivalry, and this is more of a open thought, not necessarily like something like. I think the Tiffany and Charlotte rivalry so far, I think has been a little slow. But I think that stems from Charlotte's first night back and her trying to cut a promo where she's like trying to be like Ashley Flair instead of Charlotte. Yeah. And the fans were not trying to hear that shit. And I think I think she was supposed to come back as a face, or at least a tweener of a face or a heel. And then that caused them to pivot. And now they're trying to put Tiffany as a face.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see them have Tiffany work as a face, or not even like a full-on baby face, but again, tweener. I think Charlotte is being her regular, typical heel Charlotte, and then Tiffany is kind of being a little bit more, is being put into a little bit more of like, she's kind of pushing for more face, but I personally don't believe it. Like, I not believe it, but I do think she's still more of a heel than a face. But if you have to put me between Charlotte and Tiffany, okay, sure, Tiffany is going to be the face. But it seems like they're trying to do things to make her come across as a face. That I think that's what's causing this to be a little bit more of a slow motion, because originally I think it was supposed to be Charlotte in this position, and then Tiffany was supposed to be the heel. But that's my shake, because that's just kind of how it feels like it's coming across to me. Not saying it's bad or good. I just think that there was a reaction to the reaction that is causing, a bit of a
The ripple
transition
effect,
to how,
basically.
a ripple effect of like how this storyline was supposed to play out to where it's at right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that tracks for me for sure. Because I mean, even before this, Tiffany she's always been heel for the most. This is the first time that we're seeing her be face. So I mean,
but is she even
I
face?
didn't mention it pre. Well, yeah, that's why I mentioned it before. They were making sure that she was a face on Elimination Chamber by making her tag with Trish. You know what I'm saying? In Canada, So they got some work to do before it's believable. I'll just say that. I'm with you with that for Tiffany as a face.
Yeah. Either way.
Yeah.
You got any more on the boutique? No.
Okay. No, I am done.
Let's get to this long ass AEW.
Let's speed run. I want to speed run this. Let's speed run this as fast as possible. Like, we're gonna rip this off because we actually got full champions of the week for the first time, like, in forever. I remember when we first started this, we said we wanted to do 2. We both got 2 apiece for the first time forever.
I meant 2 is just for a 1 is you, 1 is for me. I ain't think we're gonna have 4. That's a lot. But
yeah, right. We got 4 champions of the week this week. It's crazy.
I don't even know what my second champion is.
Right.
Steel cage match. Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher.
I'm gonna go Will Ospreay.
Yep. Like I said, the way that ended on Dynamite, I'm like, yeah, that's Ospreay. And then Ospreay's kind of has that John Cena kind of, you're not losing that easy.
Mm-hmm.
Okada versus Brody King for the Continental Championship.
I'm going Okada.
I'm going to go Okada as well, but Kaz made a good point on Masked Man at saying that like Brody King is being put in these positions where he's having these big matches, but always ends up losing. Kind of similar to Jey Uso. Kind of similar to Jey Uso. And it's at some point, you got to get the win. But it seems like they're building up to Okada versus... Who is it? Kenny Omega?
Omega, yeah.
Yeah, so... I'm going to go with the easy answer and just say Okada, even though I think Brody King... I think that's a very legitimate reason to have Brody King go over.
Yeah. Because there's been a lot of talk about fusing or unifying the Continental and the International titles. So if you're to do that, Kenny has this match coming up right now in this card where he's going up against Takeshita. So it'll be a unifying match between the Continental and International, between those two, Okada and Omega. At least that's the thought going forward. There's rumors of unifying, therefore this is the booking thought, that I'm having. Yeah. So MJF, Hangman Adam Page. I want to say I want MJF to win this. I really do, because I mean, Hangman's just not indestructible, but MJF takes slight to anybody. What his character flaw, he's let it slip like twice already. He actually needs the crowd. He does want the crowd on his side. And the fact that Hangman is main character, as he said in his promo, that really gets under his skin. And this is the same thing that he said to Will Ospreay. Like, everything was fine until you came here and ruined it, until you took them from me. So just for the sake of extending into a more, we got more matches to go on this feud, I would like MJF to win this. Because I don't know if Hangman just straight beats him, I don't know what that does for him going forward with this, like, yeah, I got my vengeance on him, but like he wasn't necessarily focused. I don't know what we're doing with Hangman, like, outside of this right now. That's just that's what I'm saying. So
that's fair. My recency bias says that any man that is left on a show where he looks like he's about to be put on fire, it's not going to lose on the pay-per-view, on the pop-up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Hangman.
That is, yeah.
I'm going to go Hangman. Yeah. Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah. I'm just way more into the Hurt Syndicate.
Hurt Syndicate defending against the Outrunners. I'm not familiar with the Outrunners, so call this a squash in my book.
The Outrunners are effectively Hank and Tank. They're like 80s, throwback guys, so to speak. So yeah, I'm going Hurt Syndicate as well.
Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe for the TBS
Mercedes.
TBS Championship. Yep.
Mercedes, of course.
This is the first one I think that there might be some interesting debate about. Number one contendership for AEW World Championship. Swerve versus Ricochet.
I just think Ricochet would be so out of place. Like, not to say he doesn't deserve, like, obviously he deserves it. This is great stuff, but I'm like, I can visualize Swerve standing across from Moxley and that being, you know, I believe there'll be great matches either way, but like, just storyline wise, I'm like, what in the hell would like Ricochet be doing in a ring with, you know, John Moxley? Like, obviously it's for the championship, but like, are you serious? Like, at least right now, I mean, obviously you can win this match just to lose to Moxley, obviously, because I don't think Moxley would be losing at Dynasty regardless. So, no, I just don't know. Then again, unless he loses, and then we got like Ricochet going up against Cope, that would make sense.
Or Christian.
Christian, yeah. Christian still got that cash in, yeah. I'm gonna go Swerve. Fuck it. He's got to get the road back too. If he loses again,
and that's
I'm
why
like, damn, bro.
I
like,
lean towards Ricochet.
Yeah, break him and what's his name?
Because again, I don't think if Ricochet wins that this necessarily has to end Swerve's and his rivalry. But I do think it is interesting to see what happens if Swerve is not able to get this road back, and then what kind of effect does that have with Nana?
True. No, that's a character wrinkle for him going forward.
And,
yeah.
You know, and what does it mean to Swerve? Ricochet, the exact reaction that you have, where you're like Ricochet versus Moxley for the World Championship? Really? That's the entire Ricochet character, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right
this
about
dude's
that.
A dork. He does these weird ass laughs and all that shit. It's like, yeah, you don't expect that guy to do it, but then it's like, oh, this nigga's in this position, and then obviously Mox can wrestle with Ricochet.
On top of that, this is what he came to do, honestly. But yeah, you got me convinced. I'm gonna go Ricochet with you, because that's like we know that he should have been like featured more in WWE, and that he just ended up being the high flying jobber. And as we've been saying, this is the best. Literally,
he doesn't need to win the title. All he needs is one shot. All he needs is one shot, and that's more shots than he ever got in WWE.
Yeah, exactly, and that just legitimizes him in the main event scene in that way.
Exactly,
that he can be in there for, and like I said, that's what he wants.
And then
to do,
he'll get distracted by Swerve or somebody and end up losing this shit. But all you need is the opportunity. Swerve can get that opportunity anytime he fucking feels like it.
Yeah,
Ricochet,
he's already.
Yeah, Ricochet. You need him to. I think it's a better look.
Yeah,
Yo, girl, Timeless Tony Storm versus Mariah May for the Women's World Championship.
You would think that I would be like immediately typing in Tony Storm. I am gonna pick Tony Storm, but I actually thought about this so much that I'm like, man, this would be nice to be like. I feel like this could be an eternal rivalry. It is the best up to this point, the best rivalry, men or women's, that AEW has put on in their tenure. Especially we talking about long-term storytelling and stuff. So there is a piece of me that was like, damn, that would be cool to see like Mariah become 2-time off of Tony twice. Like, that'd be sick, but I just think the character is she's
OP.
God, she's yeah.
And she just won the belt 2 weeks ago. So
exactly, she just won it. I mean, but then again, AEW is more prone to hot potato than WWE is. If you're doing it within a rivalry,
with their world championship, they're gonna hot potato
within the best rivalry that you've ever had. I'm not saying that they would. That's why I'm picking Tony. But,
okay, I'm just saying, yeah. International championship, Takeshita Omega.
And Takeshita was one of my favorite guys last year. He made my top 5 like nominations for Men's Wrestler of the Year. Kenny, if we're doing this title unification this Okada Omega 4, he's got to win this. But he's had this title for like 5 months ish. That's good. That's good. I'm shaky on it because I love Takeshita, but and that would be both in the Don Callis family losing tonight, so they're going to take a blow. They got all these people. Don Callis is definitely going to interfere in this match. Maybe you push it. I could see you probably push it to All In. Maybe he actually loses here, gets a rematch. I think that's the one in August. And but you have Dynasty after this. That's the next pay-per-view. And I forget when that is. But you know, they are on a more expanded schedule than WWE. I think they got like 2 months in between.
Dynasty's April 6th.
Dynasty's April 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Okay, no, that's only a month away.
Got Double or Nothing in May. All In is in July.
July. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I'm gonna go Takeshita. Give my boy Takeshita the look. I think Kenny will win the title off of him. Like, but there's a lot of history between Kenny and Don Callis to the point where I can see, you know, just Don Callis family coming and fucking it up, and he'll just win it eventually. But give Takeshita this look on getting the pin on Omega right now and put on a 5-star match.
Is Dynasty an AEW exclusive show, or is that a mixed show? Like between like New Japan?
I think that's exclusively that's Forbidden Door. Forbidden Door is the CMLL and New Japan show.
Yeah, and that's like in August or something like that. I saw. I'm not gonna complicate this. I'm gonna go Omega. If there's talk about, and I didn't even realize that was a talk that was happening until I heard the wrestling podcast during this week that they're thinking about combining the international and the continental. Don't you want to have Okada versus Omega? Like, isn't that?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Push it out farther. That's all.
I get it. Like, again, if I had a better sense of like the level of their pop-up shows, like what's a big four versus No Way Out, or what's WrestleMania relative to Survivor Series, and I'm like, okay, I might have a better idea of like when you might want to hold this for, but at this moment, I'm like,
yeah, because they're big four right now.
There's a lot of guys on AEW where I'm like, it's hard to see a lot of these guys losing.
Yeah, true. Because like I said, I mean, I could be overcomplicating it. Like I gave you the whole premise of like we're about to, unify the titles, and it's just that simple, But I'm like, the wrestling nerd in me is like, just give Takeshita this win real quick. Like he's had a great run, so obviously I understand Omega could just come in here and take this. Like he's got all the momentum behind him, like duh. And he's fought Don Callis before, so it's not like he would be not ready for interference.
And he just came back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He hasn't lost yet, actually. He hasn't lost since he's been back, now that I think about it.
Yeah. What I was gonna say.
That's my heart pick. That's not my brain pick. That's what that is.
No, yeah, I was gonna say, you know me, man. I've lost a lot of these predictions because I was like, I'm gonna go with my fantasy booking.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm doing right now with that.
All right, last one on the card.
Who you got for that? Jon Moxley versus Cope, AEW Championship. You just ripping the Band-Aid off of the Death Riders, get this Christian as champion by the end of the night, you think? Edge or Cope wins and like we could just get a cash in or what?
If I got Ricochet as a number one contender,
yeah. That's where I'm like,
I'd rather have Ricochet versus Jon Moxley.
Okay.
What is Cope with a championship?
Yeah. I'd rather not. I'd rather not. However, you do see like the very clear math of how we get to Christian, and it's like, did we have to give him that? You know what I'm saying? Like looking back on it, but
I think what happens, I've heard that Jay White could be possibly making a heel turn.
Okay.
the I was about to say the Night Riders. The
Death Riders.
The Death Riders. The Death Riders
We must get to the ring right now.
the Death
Beware.
Riders are all out of action for one reason or another. You know, he had his blow up with Wheeler Yuta this past Wednesday night on Dynamite. So it looks like Moxley's coming in here by himself, which finally Edge / Cope can finally have like an authentic one-on-one match. Does that mean
That's what he said.
Jay White? Does that mean Jay White can come in? Because the way Jay White says that he's gonna like look for Cope to win the championship, I'm like, you didn't really say it with that much vigor.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like, maybe you come in and just, you know, knock the snot off this dude and, you know, end up letting John Moxley retain. Maybe by the end of the night, Christian ends up getting the title. But I'm going to go Moxley because I'd rather see Moxley versus Ricochet rather than Ricochet versus Cope.
Mm-hmm.
Still a lot of WWE guys, though.
Yeah, going Moxley myself also. All right, that is a very interesting card. I know I put my heart on the line right here. You about to get 2 in your row. Come on, catch up.
I hope so.
Catch up. You got
it might
man.
end up in a tie because you probably get the MJF and I get the Omega, and then we'll just end up tying.
Nah. Hangman wins clean, and then MJF, like, you'll win, and then MJF will, like, break his fucking leg or some shit afterwards.
Yeah.
And just do, like, 4 heat seekers on him and put him out, and then that's what'll happen. You'll still get the W.
Man,
but
if somebody try to burn you, you're not gonna lose that match.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Let's get to these champions of the week and close out this show.
The first full champions of the week in like probably since like week 2 or 3, maybe at least back then.
You want to start?
Yeah. I'll go with my first one. All right, because I know I'll catch you off guard with this. This is the Chris Jericho Besmatched title going to TNA's Mike Santana. For those of us that do not know, there is a man of the people in TNA known as Mustafa Ali, who's a heel also, and he is in this rivalry with this, you know, basically street trash. He's trying to characterize Mike Santana. He's from, you know, the Bronx, New York, street trash. Like, you don't belong to be here, all this stuff. Meanwhile, Mustafa is basically a presidential candidate. Like, that's like his look and his gimmick. Mike wins his match for the week, you know, in the ring. Afterwards, Mustafa comes out and he's like, hey, unfortunately for you, I don't trust you as being a part of TNA's safe work environment. For that reason, you're being mandated for a urine test. And like, when I immediately hear that, I'm like, what? And like the crowd is like, what? Like, sort of. It wasn't like muted, but they were definitely confused. And, you know, you get this segment later on, which is this clip right here, which you can watch after we get off. But meanwhile, you see one of Mustafa's, he has an assistant. I forget what her name is, but his assistant is yelling at one of the PAs from TNA. And it's like, I told you get Mustafa's coffee. He likes it with 3 sugars, you know, this kind of cream, yada, yada, yelling in the background. Mike Santana is watching her. She walks off. He tells the guy to come over here. He's like, hey, first off, don't let nobody talk to you like that ever again. Second off, that's for Mustafa. I'll take care of it. And you just see him walk right in the bathroom. And it comes full circle. Of course, like the way that we want it to, but it's in this whole 5-minute clip, and it's exactly what you think, like the good old Chris Jericho on Raw.
William Regal.
Taking the tea.
Yeah.
And also, the only reason that I know the word besmirch is because of that rivalry. But in case you were wondering, besmirch, verb, damage to the reputation of someone or something in the opinion of others. So, yeah, he definitely besmirched Mustafa when they find out that he's a pee drinker. So that's my first champion of the week. Mike Santana.
A great rivalry between Jericho and William Regal. That was really good. Great way to start off WrestleMania. That was the first match of WrestleMania 17.
It was.
Great
Beat
show.
him with a lion salt. How many times you see him beat with a lion salt? Like, what?
Let's go. I'll go with something a little bit more serious here. Not serious, but I got mine as the Spike Lee's, and that's the Double Truth Ruth title to AJ Francis. Now, me and you have spoken about this and our outside of the pod conversations. AJ Francis, former WWE star, now currently with TNA. Is he like still the digital social media champion? Or did he end up losing that?
No, not now. But he does occasionally pop up on Booker T's Reality of Wrestling too.
Okay. And former Washington Commander or Washington football legend, he posted on his Twitter a hot take rant. Basically, I'm not going to read all of this, but basically he's saying the national anthem is more a propaganda tool than a rallying cry to patriotism. He goes on to saying how, every time that the song is played, it's just reinforcing all of these things, such as military and things of that nature, where it's just like, that's not even necessary for the song. And the fact that why do we play the national anthem at places that doesn't need to be played?
Yeah.
And this is all being stemmed at when, we've had the four countries hockey tournament during the NHL All-Star break. Canadians were booing the national anthem. Here at Elimination Chamber, the Toronto fans booed the national anthem. Pat McAfee with his panties in the bunch was like, I'm from America. You can't be booing. If you boo the national anthem, you're booing me. Fuck you, Pat. You fucking suck. This is 100% warranted. And you're a military veteran, and my neighbors are a military vet. We talk about this all the time. There are how many professional sporting events that happen in a year? There are about 250 NFL games. You combine 82 NHL games, 82 NBA games,
basketball games,
162 baseball games, and across 30 teams.
Multiply all that times 30.
That just those four leagues itself play the national anthem at least 5,000 times.
Yeah.
And then that's not even counting WWE, UFC, tennis, soccer, Little League, college fucking sports. It is absurd how often we play this fucking song. For what? For what? And then he also goes in here to make the point, it's like, you think everybody that's standing up is standing for the national anthems? What about the people that are recording the game? They got their hats on. You don't give them any shit. What about the niggas that are standing in line for nachos that aren't quiet and trying to get alcohol? They ain't standing for the national anthem. They standing to get food. Yeah. So all of this fake nationalism, patriotism around the national anthem, it's fucking disgusting. And so I give that shout out to AJ Francis for calling that out. And not only that, people are like, he's another. That dude's a poli-sci major too. So he ain't nothing new about this. He true about this. So shout out to AJ Francis, man.
Hey, not that you need a poli-sci major to have a valid opinion, though. You don't need that. He just called it out.
No, but it validates his opinion because he actually has a nuanced take on it rather than like, oh, like Pat McAfee. Oh, I'm from America. I'm proud to be from Pittsburgh, blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah. And then, so when I hear you boo my national anthem, I'm like, fuck you. And it's like, nigga, we have a fucking president here that's talking about annexing a fucking sovereign state, a fucking sovereign country.
Yeah.
Hello, we live in DC. You don't hear him talking about DC being a 51st state, my nigga. I have a fucking goddamn wristband that says DC should be a fucking 51st state. What are we talking about here? Why isn't Puerto Rico not considered? We have all these territories, but you want to talk about an actual country.
Yeah, all the way to the north, yeah.
And trying to say that they're not a real country and we want to make them a 51st state. And then Pat McAfee wants to get his panties in the bunch and be like, what's the big deal? Let's agree to disagree. Fuck you, Pat. Fuck you.
Yeah. My second champion of the week is the Family Guy Peter versus the Chicken title CM Punk and Seth Rollins. That's why I didn't dig too deep into it, just because, once again, there's certain times where you could get like CM Punk and Rollins has already, for me, this is surpassed CM Punk Cena, like the summer of Punk and all that shit back in 2014 when he left with the title. It's already past that, in my opinion, because this is in similar ways, like you said, we don't know how much they actually don't like each other.
Yeah.
Very similar to Punk's first run when we knew he was leaving the company, and we knew that he didn't fuck with, Vince and the way the shit was getting run, basically, backstage. And for them to just do the on-site thing, like, because I just love the fact he was in the middle of his shit talking, and then he just hears the burn it down, and it's just automatic. Like Peter seeing the chicken. Like the eyes squint, you see his eyes dilate. He's just like a shark, smelling blood in the water. Like he ain't waste no time, dropped the mic, and he was like, oh, we on site with it. So just the continued on-siteness, CM Punk and Seth Rollins, the Peter versus the chicken title.
It's funny when Punk was cutting his promo and he was first going in at like Cena and Rock, I was like, okay, yeah, let's go Punk. And then he started talking about Seth. I was like, nigga, you better shut your motherfucking mouth up. And then as soon as Seth's music hit, it is like, burn it down. I'm like, whoop this nigga's ass. I want to see this nigga curb stop so bad. I can't wait till this nigga Seth Rollins whoops CM Punk's ass. I'm a stan. I'm a Seth Rollins stan. Sue me. But I'm here for it. That was a great way to start off Raw.
Yeah.
Finally, the last champion of the week that I have. This is I'm sorry, I just can't get this stuck. I can't get it out of my head. I brought it up a few weeks ago as my champion of the week. It's stuck for me. It's going to be stuck with Trick Williams for probably the rest of his career, unless he changes his dialect in his promos. The Black Dynamite title to Trick Williams, because he had a backstage promo segment when he was talking to Ava, very hostile, in a very hostile manner. I forget, trying to get a title match or get a match with Eddie Thorpe, right? Then these two jabronis, I don't really even know who they are. One of them, his name's Kale Dixon, and the other guy is his tag team partner. I don't know. They come through trying to give Ava a package. They say, their words, a package. And Trick Williams, the way he says, like, bro, I'm going to need you to leave and take your package with you. It was just very Black Dynamite. I didn't have the time to find the clip, but the way he did, he said, please take your package and leave. And I'm like, he said it like 3 times. And every time he says it, I'm like, this nigga's Black Dynamite.
Yeah, the cadence.
He's Black Dynamite. Even after he fucking beat Kale Dixon in his match and then he called out Eddie Thorpe, everything about the way that Trick Williams talks like is Black Dynamite.
Yeah.
And so Trick Williams, anytime you give me a reason to, you're automatically getting your Black Dynamite title belt. So Trick Williams is Black Dynamite to me. He's Black Dynamite.
When you give it to somebody else, it'll be the Trick Williams Black Dynamite title.
Definitely. But those are our champions of the week. Moody, anything else you want to do, or you want to send us off?
Let's get sent off. Remind the people to follow us here on this YouTube channel, Instagram, TikTok, and send us email at thewrestlingreup@gmail.com. All handles are at The Wrestling Reup, no hyphen. And give us a like, share, and subscribe. Do all the algorithm engagement things to help grind us all the way to the top, like Mr. Beast.
Hopefully, we get one of those nice little YouTube plaques. But yeah, man, another great episode 35. We got AEW Revolution tomorrow night, and so we'll be back next week to talk about the outcome of that pay-per-view, that pop-up show, the aftermath of what happens throughout the week, as well as, hey, we are on the highway of the road to WrestleMania. We were working our way to the highway. We got on the on-ramp, and now
I think we're
on the highway.
Like, we're accelerating, coming direct. Like, that last bit of the on-ramp when you hit the gas again, and now you're at like 45. I think we're right there. Yeah. We ain't
It's
get to the
definitely
lane
about to
yet.
pick up. It's definitely about
Yeah.
to pick up. We got 6 more weeks, and it got a hell of this week was hella interesting. We got 3 title changes. John Cena turning heel. Who knows what might happen in these next few weeks? But we'll be here to discuss it and more on the Wrestling Rhea podcast. Deuces, everyone.
All right, we out.